excited for, and we asked you to go vote on Instagram and Twitch. Instagram, you guys said launch. Twitch, you guys said lunar flyby. So I think you guys will all be very excited since we are now about 17 minutes from the opening of our launch window today. And so with that, as we approach terminal count, let's send it back to Daryl Nail in firing room 1. Daryl.
All right, thank you, Megan and Nicole, and just want to give you an update on the launch abort system that you just reported that they cleared. They believe, they're convinced this is an instrumentation failure. So there are 2 batteries on the LAS. The LAS, of course, and with the help of my 2-year-old son's model rocket, Daniel said I could use this, so it's okay. The LAS is right here. It's the tower above Orion. Orion capsule's inside of here. It's used to pull Orion off the rocket in case the rocket is something's going on with the rocket, either on the pad or in flight. 2 batteries are bad. Well, I'm sorry, one of the 2 batteries reported an out-of-family temperature, and it was very much out of family. And so they checked their data going back into the vehicle assembly building where they recharged the batteries and worked on them. And they have good, solid data, they reported, that tells them that this is an instrumentation failure, that there's something wrong with the sensor. And so they took batteries reported, and team, which has to accept the risk, any changes to launch commit criteria, which this would be one, and they all fully accepted it. So now we are clear as far as that constraint is concerned. And one quick thing as we count down now, we are getting into the final minutes before liftoff. There's a 2-hour window. We haven't quite set the T0 yet, but this is a list of the cutouts. There are 150 cutouts that are included for this 2-hour launch window. And that's important. They're in very small print. That's important because there's basically 16 minutes inside this window that they cannot launch. And these are because of small things flying in orbit. There's a lot more things in orbit than there were back in Artemis 1 when we had 35 to 40 cutouts. For that reason, because of these 156 cutouts, they're going to be managing the launch window as we go forward. So they may have to wait out one of these cutouts. They range in time between 2 seconds to 23 seconds, but you'll hear the NASA test director talk through that. We're getting ready to merge that loop from NASA test director Jeff Spaulding.
All right, what's up, guys? Going to the moon. Going to the moon, except not really. Not really going to the moon.
And so now I'm listening to the launch team get ready to merge their operational channel.
I think it's why this doesn't feel that exceptional, right? Didn't we supposedly do this 60 years ago or something?
We're now entering one of the most consequential phases of launch day, and that's terminal count, the final 10 minutes.
And OTC, NTD on 212 for contact.
I don't want a Jeff running my space flights.
How me?
I hear the same. STC? GTC? GTC.
Libertarian, what
all right, copy that.
What feed is that? Share it in the Discord. We'll watch that one.
NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding confirming communications with his team.
Corbusier, thank you so much for the super chat.
There will be 2 polls that we'll hear.
Hong.
One from Spaulding, the NASA Test Director, confirming the ground systems and the launch team are ready to proceed. At this point,
who's the director of this movie?
We have a clear board.
I don't know. I don't think Spielberg's involved in this one.
No constraints. But we need confirmation from each individual on the NASA test director team. So we'll hear him poll his team. The other poll that we're waiting for is the poll from launch director Charlie Blackwell Thompson, who will take that final status from NASA management before giving the go.
Libertarian's link. Is this better?
Yes, I had a discussion with CIS and with MER Manager regarding the observation the CIS had a few minutes ago. They were able to confirm with BCI photos that the condition that they observed has been there since 2025.
This one's definitely ahead by like 30 seconds.
They do not have any constraints from either a CIS or MER Manager perspective.
Okay. Copy all. And Launch Director NTD, you copy?
Yes, sir. I copy. That's good news.
OTC,
What up, the St.
CCL212.
Blaine?
OTC.
ARIS primary loop isolation valve configurations.
Yeah, I've been doing well. I haven't been streaming a whole lot this last month or so. Or really all year I haven't streamed a ton, so. You not being around.
And CGLS NTD, cancel pending, please.
CLS copies.
Stum!
All right, and for all
Giving
personnel,
out 5
we got a
memberships
little bit
over
more
on
work to do
YouTube.
before we pick up the clock, and we're about a little over a minute from getting to T-minus 10 minutes, but we've canceled the resume time there, and then we'll pick it up after we get through all of our work and anything else that we need to do to get through the remainder of counts. So we'll continue working that to get to our T0 today. So when we get to about
Scott
50
Free,
seconds from now, we'll
Urban Moving
extend that
Systems, Chris
CVSE,
Olson,
OTC.
Van Drexel, and Barbara DWR.
CVSE.
EDWR.
400, 290, looking to verify that we are configured for Ascent.
Yep, give me about 2 more minutes. I'm going to start CMA2 streaming.
Copy.
NTD COSE hold requested.
copy that.
I have an LCC violation of O-CT-004, S-band transponder anomaly. This was a transient LCC violation, so transponder 1 had a demodulated SNR estimate that went down to 2 dBm. When it should have been between 10 and 13, it is now back up to 12, but we did lose that for just a moment. It does not appear that we lost our bit sync or
What are these
carrier
nerds
lock,
talking about?
which would be indicative that we lost our lock with the vehicle. So at this point, recommendation would still be go. However, we do have a pre-planned contingency procedure.
Okay.
We'll bring up those nets here in just a moment. Just want to address the reason that the L- clock has stopped is because teams, as you heard, have determined there is still more work ahead. And so they are working to finish up what they need before they are able to proceed into the terminal count. So the clock will stand in this hold at T-minus 10 minutes before the T-minus clock and the L- clock were set to sync. Assuming the work can be cleared, then the count would presumably continue on from this start of the terminal count at T-minus 10 minutes. But again, for those just joining us, expecting that we are 10 minutes away from the liftoff of Artemis 2, teams still have work left to do before they are ready to proceed. We are standing by for the polls from the NASA test director, as well as the Artemis launch director, Charlie Blackwell Thompson, that need to happen. The teams need to reach a consensus to proceed with the liftoff here today. Again, there is a 2-hour window, so we are by no means at the end of the opportunities for today. Lots of latitude left to work, and so we will bring you the very latest. We'll go ahead and let you listen back into the loops here.
Yeah, put us back in the loop here.
And COSE, while we're doing that, these are 1/10 hertz measurements, correct? So we would have had to lose it for over 10 seconds to get a second sample?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It is 1/10 hertz.
Yeah, so from our perspective, the allowance is effectively up to.
There was an issue with the battery. I don't think that's what they were just talking about, though. That has been resolved.
This is not an LCC violation, I believe.
An issue with the battery in the launch abort system. That sounds great.
We're checking with KUS on 232. I don't think they have 212 access. We're trying to verify, but it sounds like they have a loss of lock as well. About 2 seconds.
Frank, which marble races? Okay. I mean, I've seen marble races
I guess,
on
for
YouTube
KUS
for years.
And COSE, do we have lock now?
You're talking about like the actual marbles?
We do have lock for COSE.
Not the game we play.
Yeah, so from the integration console perspective, we did have a temporary loss there within the allowable, and per the requirement, let's go.
And this is Houston Flight. We have lock and we have good telemetry here.
This nerd looks like he knows what he's doing. I don't know.
And
He's drinking a Coke Zero.
They have good lock now.
I don't know. Doesn't bode well.
So with all of that, OSC, then are we in a go configuration per your LCC?
Yes, sir. Recommendation would be go.
Right. LP, you concur with that?
Yes, sir. LP concurs go.
And launch director?
Yes, sir.
Master
Launch
race?
director
No
concurs.
way. It's Charles
All
D.
right, and
Yeah,
I'm
this
gonna go ahead and
this
just
whole
verify
launch was just an
everybody has
April
everything
Fool's
else
prank.
complete. Launch director, and if we do, we'll be ready to pick up the
You
pool at
thought
that
we
time.
were launching
Unless
to
there's
the
something else
moon
that you're
today?
aware of.
Yes,
Suckers.
sir. Let's verify all our work is complete, and I would like one last check of our constraints list.
All right, let's see. OTC, are you still waiting for ComConfig, or are you complete
That is
with
affirmed,
everything?
sir.
Okay, so is that your only open item?
Yeah, OTC, this is CVSC. That 400 step 290 is complete.
Copy.
Okay, so OTC, you're complete with all of your work?
That's affirmed.
All right, copy that. STC
STC is complete.
and GTC?
GTC is complete.
Okay, excellent. All right, and LPE, just want to verify we have no open constraints at this time.
No open constraints. We have a clear board, sir.
All right.
Okay, tracking the same here.
Sounds good, right? Let's go. What are we waiting
And
for?
launch director, with
Start
that,
that timer.
we are clear and ready to pick up the launch readiness poll with your go.
All right, sir. I am go for the poll.
Rabbi, yeah,
All
this
right.
is a manned mission. They're not
And for
going
all
to the
personnel,
moon.
this is the
They're
entity
going
conducting
around
Artemis
the
2
backside of the
launch
moon,
readiness check.
slingshotting around and coming
Verify
back.
ready to resume count and go for launch.
It's a very
OTC.
diverse crew, just
GTC
in
is
case
go.
you were wondering.
STC,
STC is go.
GTC,
C's go.
It's got a
MTL.
woman and even a Canadian.
Goes go.
safety console,
The safety consoles go.
LPE,
LPEs go.
RTD,
RTDs go.
Houston flight,
Houston flight is go.
ROC,
George, ever seen their escape
Rockets go.
slide? I don't think
and
so.
CDR.
Cruise go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And launch director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the launch director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS,
Ultimate
Program Chief Engineer.
deportation.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range Weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis, MMT Chair.
MMTs go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good to hear your voice, Charlie. PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
Victor, you're echoing.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2. This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
Bill Barr, get ready,
Our
Chuck Moon.
Artemis
Here
2
comes the
crew is
diversity.
go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit
Dark
of
matter
the American
for
people
all of
and our
humanity.
partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go. And NTD Launch Director.
Magic,
Launch
this
director.
sounds like a cult.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR NTD,
Go.
figure your visors and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8, and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSE NTD, start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy and work.
Thank you. RSR NTD.
RSR.
All right, perform the booster ignition, SNA arm rotation, enable at this
So
time.
yeah,
please.
Artemis 1,
RSR in work.
to answer your question, Neo Dark Matter, Artemis 1, the first two launch
Booster
attempts were
ignition,
canceled due
SNA
to
arm
faulty
rotation
engine
enable
temperature
complete.
readings on August 29,
Copy that, thank
2022, and a hydrogen leak during the
Integrity
fueling
crew,
on September
close the lock
3rd.
visors.
Artemis 1 launched on November 16th, 2022. So 3.5 years ago. Still haven't started the countdown.
And As we've been hearing, the NASA test director poll complete, the launch director poll complete as well. Good words from the crew. Teams have been given the blessing to proceed with the count. We are awaiting terminal count to pick up once the new T0 has been set.
Libertarian. Yeah, is this the furthest a woman's ever been from
Again,
Earth?
the terminal count has not picked up just yet. We're watching for movement of the clock.
Smith, someone needs to put in floppy disk number 1
short
again.
purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count.
As you just heard, a little bit more left to do before terminal count can proceed, but we are getting very close, everyone, to the liftoff of Artemis 2 as planned. For those who may just be joining us, if you haven't been following along with these final big updates.
PCL time estimate?
About a minute.
Copy.
It's over. Fat Kid says, this is AI.
Teams had a little bit of extra work they needed to get through, and so the terminal count has not picked up. So just setting the scene for everybody, there will not be a liftoff in 1 minute. We are awaiting the updated T0 time for the liftoff of the Space Launch System rocket. When that time is given, when we get right down to the end of the count, you'll see the 4 RS-25 engines ignite about 6.36 seconds before the two solid rocket boosters come to life, and then we'll see Artemis 2 take off. All continues to go well with these final 10 minutes once the terminal count picks up. Got a lot of folks out here eagerly awaiting the flight of Artemis 2, the first crewed mission of the Orion spacecraft.
Gotta make sure all the actors are in place before the director yells in scene or go or whatever.
Copy that, and we're verifying our constraints.
Don't worry, guys. They're just verifying their constraints. Canadian alien, give it some gas. They forgot to put gas in it. Oh.
All right, and we're clear from cutouts. And with that, we're going to resume the clock momentarily. And CGLS, you can resume the clock on your mark.
GLS copies.
Were you supposed to add the fuel this morning?
3, 2, 1, mark.
Gas is just too expensive to launch. Yeah.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
Okay, countdown has started again.
And we are now looking at 6:35 p.m. Eastern, 22:35 for the new T0 liftoff time for the Artemis 2 mission. Terminal clock underway. You'll hear a lot of call-outs on the process through the count. One of the next big milestones is coming up in about a minute and a half time. We'll see the retraction of the crew access arm. It will swing away from the Orion spacecraft and be stowed alongside the mobile launcher. That'll be followed by the ground launch sequencer giving the go for core-stage pressurization at T-minus 6 minutes. At the same time, the Orion Ascent pyros will be armed, and the Orion spacecraft will transition to internal power. Seconds later, the core stage liquid hydrogen tank will terminate its replenish cycle.
To sell its toys.
Our new T0 is 22:35:12.
Houston Flight copies.
Matt, hung.
22:35:12.
You're at Knott's Berry Farm?
Affirm.
Really? What you doing there?
And just a note out there to all the launch photographers, the T0 specifically is 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. 22:35 and 12 seconds UTC for those around the world. About 30 seconds remaining to the planned swing away from the
Austin, did you hear they
crew
used
access arm away from the Orion spacecraft.
Clearly it's a mistake.
The launch abort system, which is
these nerds
structure
made a
atop
mistake.
the Orion spacecraft. You can see that there with the American flag just above that red umbilical. That ability to use that emergency way of getting away from the rocket, if necessary, will become active for the crew beginning at
I've actually seen
T-minus
some
5
videos of
minutes
that.
and 20
looks
seconds.
delicious.
Once the LAS is active, the NASA test director will let Commander Reed Wiseman know that that is a viable option.
GLS is go for crew access arm retract.
Retract go, given. Arm is now swinging away. We're now less than 8 minutes away to the planned liftoff of the Space Launch System rocket on its first crewed flight. You can see this view from inside the White Room as the arm retracts away from the crew and the spacecraft named Integrity. About 7.5 minutes remaining before the planned liftoff. Again, in about a little less than a minute and a half from now,
Don't forget the Canadian
tank
Walt
pressurization
Disney
on the
Whitman.
core stage will begin.
Jay Davis, given NASA's recent track record, anyone taking bets on if they get stuck on the moon for 5 months? Will Elon have to go save them?
Just under 7 minutes and counting now. Less than 1 minute to core tank pressurization, and the launch Ascent Pyros will be armed, and the Orion spacecraft transitions to internal power.
Hello, Q. Good to see you. Says, where the fuck is this? Kennedy Space Center, of course. Florida.
After the 6-minute mark in flight, some of the next major milestones beyond the launch abort system being activated at T-minus 5 minutes and 20 seconds. The go for the flight termination system arming will happen at T-minus 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Core stage auxiliary power unit.
GLS is go for core stage tank pressurization.
Jay, don't you mean Trump Space Center? How has he not renamed this yet?
The replenish valve is now closed for the core stage liquid hydrogen tank. Under 5 minutes now, or under 6 minutes. Launch abort system capability will be active for the crew in about 10 seconds.
Matt, I hear they are letting the lady drive.
GLS verifies last capability available.
And CDR, do you copy?
CDR copies, last available.
That escape capability now available to the crew if necessary. Confirmed by Commander Reed Wiseman as we are now 5 minutes and counting.
GLS is go for FTS arm.
Libertarian, I can do that. I can do that.
GLS is go for LH2 high flow bleed check.
Look, I turn left now. Good luck, everybody.
Four minutes and counting.
GLS is go for core stage APU start.
This is the auxiliary power unit on the core stage.
There you go.
Just about 3.5 minutes remaining on the clock now. The interim cryogenic propulsion stage
with my infinite wisdom.
Topping should terminate here. Coming up to the final 3 minutes of the count. When we hit about 2 minutes and 2 seconds, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage will switch to its internal battery power. That'll be followed seconds later by
GLS is go for purge sequence 4.
Firecracker
the core
time.
stage switching to internal power as well.
3 minutes and counting.
First, the solids at 2 minutes, the core stage at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds, switching to internal power. We're less than 3 minutes to the planned liftoff of Artemis 2. Continuing on with the terminal count to a liftoff scheduled for 6:35 and 12 seconds Eastern Time.
Real G1, thank you for the super chat. Will it fly over the Portland murder hole?
Should see a gimbal
maybe
there
upon
of those
re-entry.
engines. You see that in motion. Good testing of those RS-25 engines now
Frank,
approaching the
I'm
final
surprised
2
there's
minutes
not a
in
Canadian
flight.
flag on the
As a
rocket.
reminder, those RS-25s will ignite as planned at
Are you
T-minus
sure there's not one?
6
GLS
seconds.
go for upper stage to internal power.
6.36 seconds before liftoff is when those engines will come alive. We're less than 2 minutes. In this, the final minute and a half, the core stage will switch to internal
Final
power as well.
countdown. Yuki, is it true this is actually
upper
a
stage
warhead
go for core
crashed
stage to
into
internal
Iran?
power.
Good
Trump
call
has
out
taken
there.
over the mission.
Should hear a call for the upper stage entering terminal countdown mode.
They are sneaky, Frank. Can't be trusted. Real G1, this is totally non-reusable, right?
Coming up on the
believe
final
so.
minute of the count.
Yeah, I think only SpaceX has the reusable rockets.
1 minute in counting.
I could be wrong. You'll need to ask our
Cheers across the press line here at the Kennedy Space Center.
Flight nerd, Libertariat. Libertariat Prime. Alright, they're apparently going in 40 seconds. What do you think they're thinking? Jay, certainly after it explodes, probably not reusable.
GLS go for ALS.
30 seconds in
After
counting.
the woman drives it straight into the moon, it's going to be
25.
hard to repair.
The hydrogen burn-off igniters will kick on at T-minus 12 seconds.
Libertarian. Blue Origin also reuses. Yeah,
15.
I always forget about Blue Origin. The redheaded
Hydrogen burner
stepchild of
ignition.
spaceflight.
GLS is go for core stage and
8, 7, 6 should have
Here
RS-25
we
start.
go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Artemis 2 mission, the first crewed flight of the Orion spacecraft, the first humans to plan a trip beyond low Earth orbit, has taken off from Florida.
Roger, roll pitch.
Damn. Yeah, did he say their first trip?
Now about 1 minute in flight.
Surely he meant their
As
first
much
trip
rocket
in,
traveling faster
since
than
the
speed of
70s,
sound.
right? But
Engine's about to throttle back as it approaches max Q, the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. RS-20. Good confirmation. Past max Q, the RS-25s throttling back up to 109% thrust capacity.
Fractal, that thing must be going at least 300 burgers per Eagle.
Now about a little more than a minute and a half into flight. Coming up next will be the separation of the two 5-segment solid rocket boosters, a little more than 2 minutes into the mission. That roll maneuver we saw earlier, intentional to put the crew in the right orientation as the rocket continues to climb uphill.
Is there a camera on the rocket?
And a good separation of those solids.
Oh shit, they're coming down!
Five solid rocket boosters chock full of shuttle heritage, having carried this crew on the first part of their journey.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
75% of the initial thrust was those engines.
SM priming complete.
SM priming complete.
Now approaching T+3 minutes into the flight. Coming up next will be the jettison of the launch abort system. At that point in the mission, it will no longer be needed. Now more than 3 minutes into this flight of the Artemis II crew on board their Space Launch System rocket. There go the covers for the launch abort system. Now it has been jettisoned. Orion Integrity now no longer having the launch abort system.
Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Charles
Copy,
Sneed says,
jettison.
can't lie, this is cool.
8+02.
It's kind of cool.
And with that protection covering now gone.
Like I said, it'll be a lot cooler once they've got casinos
Houston has you loud
and bars
clear
on the moon.
Peters at the Carmen line.
The windows are open, as you just heard.
Outstanding, Stan, we have you the same.
Reaching the Kármán line, entering space. First space flight for Jeremy Hansen, the second for Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook. Now a little more than 4 minutes into flight. The next big milestone is coming up in about 4 minutes' time. We're watching for the core stage main engine cutoff. This will be MECO, where the 4 RS-25 engines will power down. That'll be followed a little more than 10 seconds later by the separation of the core stage and the ICPS, the rocket's upper stage,
imagine being an
which will
actual
be powered
bouncer
by
on the
an
moon.
RL-10 engine from L3 Harris.
Yes, Purple World Order, you get it, with blackjack and hookers.
Continuing to get great tracking views this April 1st.
That's a Futurama
flight of Artemis II.
Integrity, GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Good words by the commander heading towards that quote, beautiful moonrise. Their zero-G indicator happens to be named Rise as well. Created by a second grader in California, taken from inspiration by the iconic
Integrity, 3 engine prep.
Integrity
Earthrise
Farms.
image.
I didn't know Randy Marsh was going up there.
The call is just
so
searing
brave.
regarding the engines. Still have 4 good RS-25s.
This is the diverse
Only
crew
3
that's
would be
going
needed
up
to
there.
carry it to the correct point for MECO at this point, so they are in a very good position at this stage in the flight. Now approaching T+6 minutes.
Integrity, looking good at 6 minutes.
What? What's this camera?
Same on board, Stan.
Looking at a animation rendering, a visualization you can see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. This is not from a tracking camera, but a visualization of what is happening in real time. This rendering coming from NASA. About 6.5.
Integrity, expect nominal shutdown.
Ranker, mining first though.
Integrity copies nominal shutdown.
A good view of the contrail there from firing room 1. I believe that's the silhouette of Artemis launch director Charlie Blackwell Thompson. Has to be ecstatic so far of how this mission has performed. 7 minutes into the mission now.
No face.
Now less than 1 minute
I
away
want
to
green women
Nico,
with 3
main
breasts
engine
at my
cutoff.
side while playing blackjack in a Mooncino. I like that, Mooncino.
Engines will begin to throttle down as they approach the point of main engine cutoff. Now nearly 7.5 minutes post-flight beginning.
Integrity, AOA open.
AOA open.
NASA reporting nominal trajectory still so far, a call out relating to an abort zone if needed in the Pacific Ocean.
Abort zone? Now the liberals
Coming
are
up to Nico
interested.
here momentarily. And we had good Nico, and as you can see, stage separation.
Integrity and nominal Nico, core stage separated.
We see the same on board, Stan.
Yes. Now look at this fake rendering. Not even a good fake rendering.
This camera
Can AI
view
do better
from
than
one
that?
of NASA's imaging planes, WB-57, I believe. Now back to the visualization showing the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. A little more than 9 minutes into the flight so far. The RL-10 engine nozzle should have extended by this point.
Okay, well, did they?
The crew released in
Integrity Houston, looking ahead to PRM numbers so far per the pad.
That's true, Charles Sneed. It's true. We're getting older.
Copy that, Stan. Numbers for the pad.
that call.
That call what?
Confirming that teams are tracking towards the perigee raise maneuver about 49 minutes post liftoff.
How long until
Before
they're
then, though, the
around the
Orion
moon?
solar arrays should deploy on the European service module. That's expected at T plus 20 minutes.
Okay, so this launch is scheduled to take approximately 4 days to reach the far side of the moon. The total mission designed to fly 4 astronauts around the moon and back without landing will last about 9.5 to 10 days, with the crew returning to Earth on April 10th.
Copy that,
So-
Stan. Good, Neds.
It's going to be a minute. Who's up for a 10-day long stream?
And Integrity Houston for PWD setup. Just a reminder, halfway open on the secondary.
St. Blaine, do days count in space?
We got that, Stan. Halfway open.
They count for us.
And just confirming there that the RL-10 nozzle was extended as expected. The communication
I was
now from
worried
the
about
Johnson
that.
Space Center to Commander Reed Wiseman coming from the Capcom, who is NASA astronaut Stan Love.
Charles Sneed, Apollo 8 went
who
on
will
Christmas.
now be
This
able
one
to
is
raise
on
their
Easter.
visors as well, per NASA.
Frank Spurg is. Yeah, Spurg will be live the whole time, I'm sure. Spurg boy.
The entire trip.
As we're awaiting the next big milestone, which is set to be the
Houston C3 aux power back in auto.
Copy C3 aux, and we're 2 minutes to maneuver.
And I am Kyle.
Let's go ahead and listen in to NASA commentator here for a moment from the Johnson Space Center, I believe.
NASA commentator.
"30 seconds of mission elapsed time. We're going to continue to follow the crew of the Artemis 2 mission. They are beginning their journey around the moon to verify the systems that will take us to its surface. An incredible ascent. Artemis 2 is underway. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen.
Look out the window
begin their
on the
journey
way
to
around the moon and be like,
Still
yep, that
milestones
looks like
to come
a
up
good
as we
landing
await
spot.
solar array deploy and the critical burns that will get integrity into high Earth orbit around the Earth before engines are fired to get us around the moon. We'll keep tabs on Integrity and its crew from here in Mission Control Houston. But for now, we're going to send it back to you, Megan and Nicole at the Kennedy Space Center. Very jealous.
Purple. If the Earth was a basketball and the moon was a baseball, the real distance would be roughly 35 feet apart. Doesn't seem that far. Let's see here. We also have Trump speaking on Iran tonight, around 9 Eastern. Israel has continued to strike Tehran today, even as Trump has talked about winding down the war. Oil prices have dipped below $100 a barrel. Markets are not hopeful that the war will actually end anytime soon. I mean, what happened to the NASA commentator? Okay.
Ahead of them, so wishing them well on everything, but so far, what a beautiful launch to watch.
Yeah, to be returning to the lunar orbit in more than 50 years. Maybe they go farther from Earth than any other humans before them. Maybe they see parts of the moon that we've never seen before. I mean, what a great start to what could be all of these milestones.
As teams are awaiting the deployment of the Orion solar arrays from the European service module, which is expected in about 4 minutes time from now. Taking a look at the split screen between the visualization of what's happening with the interim cryogenic propulsion stage and the Orion spacecraft on the left, and the now empty mobile launcher there on the right-hand side of your screen. NASA leadership mentioned that there were a number of improvements made to the mobile launcher to make it more resilient against the impacts of 8.8 million pounds of thrust provided by the two solid rocket boosters in 4 hours 25 that we just saw propel the start of the Artemis 2 mission. The goal is to get this mobile launcher back in a configuration where they were able to return it to the vehicle assembly building in the not too distant future, since with the goal to launch the Artemis 3 mission now in a little more than a year's time, The stacking will need to get underway later this year, and that begins with the mobile launcher returning to the vehicle assembly building once it has been cleared to do so.
Yuki Munsky, to travel 1 mile at a speed of 18,000 miles per hour, it'll take you 1/5 of a second to go a mile.
And Integrity Houston, cross-tie is on board per the ETSI.
I want to hear from the crew. What are they, what are they thinking?
Houston,
what are they
thank you.
doing? Surely you're in communication with them.
Houston, cross-tie is on board per the ETSI.
I already heard that.
Right now, we're, as you see,
Houston, integrity anywhere until that momentary prop caution.
And a proposal.
And read no action, we're looking at it.
Labs time.
Smegma, yep, they launched about 19 minutes ago, roughly. They're up in the space, heading towards the moon. They do have a woman and a Canadian on board, so don't worry. It's very diverse. The moon's about to get some diversity. Onus, we're in space. And we're looking at a fake, cartoonish looking visualization of the whole thing. That's how you know it's real. Smegma, low stakes then.
Integrity Houston, update on TDRS handover for your pad.
Update on what now?
Give us just 1 minute. And Stan, you can read it. Ike is ready to copy.
Roger. TDRS handover east to west expected 1 second earlier at 5:1 minutes 26 seconds.
Yuki, you just turn into 2D when you go into space. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that tracks.
Hi, Stan. We copy 1 second earlier for 5126 TDRS east to west, and saws are starting to deploy. Thermal knives are firing.
Saws and thermal knives.
Thanks for the report.
What are we doing up there?
Now 21 minutes and change post liftoff. Conversation we were just hearing, confirmation that solar array deploy is in work. Reaching a TDRS handover a little bit, about 1 second earlier than originally planned. TDRS is the tracking and data relay satellite system.
Grammy. Yeah, they're not. Are they going to fly around the moon more than once? I hadn't heard that. I thought they were just going around one time. But
Near Space Network, which is working to maintain communication with the Orion spacecraft during this early phase in flight. As the mission goes on, it will transition to comms with the Deep Space Network.
Okay.
And integrity for prop messages, we see 2 temperature measurements right near the line. It's a momentary message you saw earlier. We're going to suppress those. It's CM helium heater 2 T1 and heater 1 T1. They're going suppressed.
Yeah, they're going to do one single figure 8 loop around the moon.
Thank you. We see the same.
The 4-astronaut crew will arc around the far side of the moon on flight day 6, about 5,000 miles beyond the moon. This mission will take humans the furthest away from Earth they have ever been, roughly 252,000 miles. Libertariat, to look for the cheese. Seems real quiet.
5:35 and 12. You're seeing from our the RL10 nozzle that you see at the left end of your screen.
Houston Integrity, we are happy to
Though it is
report that
currently not
Jeremy has
firing
the O2 sensors on.
Copy O2 sensors.
O2 sensors are on. That's good. Lynn, what if the comet gets sucked into the sun?
Houston, we see 4 saws deployed and latched.
What's up with that? I imagine comets get sucked into the sun all the time.
Yeah, we're almost there in the procedure stand, and we see the same thing.
Good confirmation of...
Integrity Houston, we are seeing a 7-second miscompare between the MET on Orion and ICPS. We'd like you to read us the MET from your center status bar and for the ICPS on StackSum.
And
this mission is going to turn Event Horizon.
Absolutely precise
I loved that
alignment.
movie as a kid.
MET 25,
Watched it
14,
so many times.
15, 16, precisely aligned with ICPS MET.
Big C's, Austin, is this going to be a 10-day
Thank
stream
you for that.
marathon?
We'll investigate
Yeah,
that
no.
issue.
That's a no.
And Houston Integrity, ATO preferred status.
I will stay live through Trump's Iran speech
preferred.
tonight. Jeef has kindly made bingo cards again for us for this speech. So, moon launch / Trump speech stream. Should be a good time overall. Fractal, do you think the moon men call us Earth Mexicans?
T plus 26 minutes, 3 seconds, and counting. A good confirmation that the 4 solar arrays have deployed on the Orion spacecraft and have latched to begin to draw power. The ICPS has the RL-10 engine facing the sun.
Jigger says they are
to give
fucked
them
if something
the
goes wrong at this point.
optimal position for starting to draw
power. Haven't you seen
power.
Apollo 13? Tom Hanks will come save the day. It'll be fine. Gate and lay again, DJ Lunchbox. You missed the rocket go boom. But don't worry, you can watch this CGI, bad CGI rendering of it live right now. I feel like we're not really getting very many updates on this, and I guess maybe we won't get very many updates.
Integrity for GNC, we're taking channel 1 to unfiltered and to BFS.
Oh, they're taking channel 1 to their BFFs.
Okay, Stan, we're watching. Go ahead.
Lynn, we have bingo cards for Trump's speech tonight. Yes. I'll send out the links closer to the speech, though.
Now a little more than 29 minutes into flight. The next big milestone is coming up in about 20 minutes' time. That is the
Look, you imagine going all the way to the moon with your turn
which
signal
will
on the
take
whole way.
the Orion spacecraft in the upper stage from its current orbit at 1,381 by 17 statute miles and raise that perigee up to 115 statute miles. Again, that burn expected here in now just under 20 minutes' time. As we watch the progress of the early phases of the Artemis 2 mission after a successful liftoff from Launch Complex 39B here at the Kennedy Space Center, let's wind the clock back a little bit to show you some of the brilliant photos captured by our photography team from here at the press site.
This is kind of crazy. At Tom's Watch Bar in downtown Houston, also known as Rocket City and the home of NASA's primary astronaut training center, Trianing, way to go Katrina Miller. Locals slowly packed the space on Wednesday, but they were not there to watch the Artemis 2 astronauts fly to the moon. Instead, they were pre-gaming for the Houston Rockets, who will play the Milwaukee Bucks this evening. During the launch, most of the TVs were tuned in to a Yankees-Mariners game. A couple smaller screens were streaming NASA's live broadcast of the mission, then later switched to local news. No one gives a fuck about this, apparently.
Of protecting them from the impact of the solid rocket boosters and RS-25 engines. We'll have a briefing from NASA a little bit later this evening, and so that'll be something we're curious if that's brought up by the NASA leadership, or if not, then we or perhaps another one of our colleagues in the press corps will be able to have that addressed. Moving on to our next launch photo here.
America.
This is a photo from our Adam Bernstein as
Do you think the Canadians
SLS
are
rocket
complaining
takes flight
that there's no Canadian flag representation?
Alongside the stars and stripes above the Artemis program flag that you see just beneath there at the flagpole adjacent to the countdown clock. And finally, we'll conclude our roundup with a photo from John Pisani.
Wow, they got three whole photographs.
The flags on the right and a eager crowd excited to see what is poised to be humans' return to
give this launch 3 out of 5
area
manatees
for the first time since 1972 and Apollo 17. As a reminder, though, this is not a landing mission. Crews will also not be entering into lunar orbit. This mission, Artemis 2, designed to be a free return trajectory, which means the Orion spacecraft, both the crew module and the European service module, will perform a free return trajectory, a big loop around the far side of the moon, and target a splashdown next week, scheduled for April 10th if all continues to go well, in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, where the U.S. Navy will be ready and waiting to move in quickly to recover the astronauts and bring them safely aboard, either immediately onto the recovery ship that will be awaiting them, and then flying quickly back to shore.
Just can't even get a camera on our rocket.
For initial medical checkouts, which is standard for this type of return operation. We saw the recovery team get through their paces back in the Artemis 1 mission. Of course, that was an uncrewed test flight of the Orion spacecraft.
And the rocket side camera.
This Orion spacecraft also performing a slightly different trajectory this time, which is why there were fewer launch days available to the team. Because instead of doing the skip re-entry as was originally planned for the mission, there was a little bit more cracking and breakup of the shield, the heat shield at the base of the module for the Artemis 1 mission, and so teams planned this different trajectory coming in at a slightly steeper angle. That skip entry, though, will return as the heat shield for the Artemis 3 mission
so no camera in the cabin, just
new
in
and
case we get
improved.
Challenger 2.
Well, I say that yes, the heat shield is improved for the Artemis 3 mission, but that will be in low Earth orbit. So still waiting to see what the full mission profile of that flight will be. But for Artemis 4 and beyond, the plan at this point is to perform that skip entry. Now a little more than 34 and a half minutes into this mission so far. Coming up next at T+49 is that all-important perigee raise maneuver, which will
they're not landing
put
on
the
the
crew
moon.
into a safe orbital position.
They don't know how to do that yet. Grammy, they couldn't fulfill all the DEI participants for this mission, but they gave it a shot. Yeah, I wonder who they're gonna, is the next mission, I think they're supposed to land on the moon? Would that be Artemis 3? Artemis 3.
Some of the next big mission milestones after that perigee raise maneuver that happened here during flight day 1. Less than 2 hours.
They're not even landing on the moon on Artemis 3.
I should say less than an hour after the perigee raise maneuver is an apogee raise burn, which will put the Orion spacecraft and the ICPS into a high Earth orbit at 43,730 by 0 statute miles. And Orion will remain about that apogee.
Yeah, you might be right.
Houston, updated PRM numbers when you're ready to copy.
Copy.
All right, Houston, we are ready to copy.
Why'd that take so long?
TIG is 2 seconds earlier at 4 minutes, 48 seconds. TIGO unchanged at 26 seconds.
Okay.
49, 48, TIGO 26.
No face. They'll pull down their space pants and moon the moon. Okay, so Artemis 3 is scheduled for sometime in 2027, so next year. The mission has been reprofiled.
Hearing those slight updates coming from Mission Control Houston, Capcom Stan Love up to the crew on board the Orion spacecraft.
Okay, so the Artemis 3 has been reprofiled as a test of systems in low Earth orbit, including docking with a commercial lander, following previous delays regarding developmental risks, moving the crewed moon landing component to later missions. So could be 4, could be Artemis 5.
The perigee raise burn will be a total of 26 seconds, so a fairly short burn of the RL-10 engine.
Okay. So originally Artemis 3 was supposed to be a moon landing.
Crews busily working to make sure all of the life support systems are in operation as expected.
Integrity Houston, for Optimus on the PCD, we have time update instructions when you're ready.
So yeah, it's scheduled for 2028 in Artemis 4 mission to land on the moon. Lunchbox, which number is to save Matt Damon from Mars? That'll be Artemis 6 in 2032.
And Houston, Integrity, we copy. Hands are pretty busy.
Tom
at this
Hanks
time.
will be involved.
We'll call you back when we're ready for that.
All right, that one is not urgent. 2 minutes to maneuver to PRM attitude.
We are watching and concurred. 90 seconds-ish, maybe.
Stooley, so the reasons given for why we haven't been back to the moon is just because there was no reason to, and there was no money in the budget for it. That's what they say when that question is asked. I mean, you know, they already allegedly went up there, planted a couple flags, and hit some golf balls. What else are you going to do on the moon?
Now T plus 39 minutes, 6 seconds and counting. We're about 10 minutes away from the start of that perigee raise maneuver, which will last a total
Fractal,
of
the real
26
reason
seconds.
the Moonites said no trespassing.
Let's go ahead and listen in now to Mission Control Center in Houston.
Once concluded, Stan Love will report it back up to the crew, and we'll stand by for that.
Stooley, seems like we have lots of money to waste on other shit. It certainly does. Certainly does.
And MCC polls go for PRM, pending attitude and saws.
Hey, we copy. MCC is go. Maneuver starting.
Chief says they've actually been trying to get back to the moon for a while
40
now.
minutes of mission elapsed time. The maneuver to the burn attitude has begun. The maneuver also is paired with reorientation of the solar array wings that have been deployed. They will have various positions throughout the duration of the flight. Of course, solar arrays meant to maximize the draw of power from the sun. So when deployed, we're in a biased solar array wing configuration that was called solar normal. This allows for the greatest surface area of the solar array wings to be drawing power and powering up those batteries of integrity, of which a cross-tie was enabled between the four batteries, the four battery buses that are inside of Orion. However, for the perigee raise maneuver, the solar array wings will be put into a position to take on the loads imparted by the ICPS main engine when they execute the 26-second burn.
Insane cloud.
You can see in the animation here, wow. The solar array wings are in motion, and the attitude is being reconfigured to point the engine in the correct direction. Those solar array wings being pointed forward.
No face. Wait, it's an X-wing? So Chief was saying they've been trying to get back to the moon for a while, but had to scrap several designs due to modern fuel standards and laws gimping them. That sounds like some Democrat bullshit to me. Sounds like they got involved. Oh no, it's bad for the environment. Big Red Fitted. Not sure why Ryan Gosling made this look so easy.
You're getting a live look inside the Artemis 2 mission flight control room. The team you see here oversaw the ascent of our four astronauts inside Integrity, launching at 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Now again, this...
here's a different view of the launch. God, I love all these pixels. Are we sure this isn't, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to send it over to our colleagues at the Kennedy Space Center.
Hello, Maximus.
And to my colleagues, it was a pleasure to join the teams at the Kennedy Space
is
Center
it war
and be
bad
a
for the
part of
environment?
such a historic
now.
launch. Here in
Hey
Houston,
now.
again, we're turning our attention to the mission. And for now, we'll say farewell and thank you to our colleagues there for...
To our colleagues where? I want to hear from the cabin crew. Do we know which satellite captured this, Lynn? East Geocolor Satellite. Okay. Answers my question. They're in a rocket, Austin, not a cabin. You mean they're not up there in a log cabin? What? Why are we looking at this? Bring back the fake CGI rendering of the rocket. This is just kind of sad looking. Everyone just left? Fractal, I've got some tears in my eyes. Not from the launch, but because I had a corneal abrasion a while back and keep getting recurrent erosion. Thanks for sharing. Maxim Krivian, 37, a business owner, came to Times Square to see if any screens were broadcasting the launch. To his surprise and disappointment, none of them were. I was expecting to see hundreds of people crowded around to watch the launch, he said, listening to the broadcast through earphones as it played from his own screen in his pocket. I mean, do you think the media is downplaying this because Trump would get credit? Or do you just think no one really gives a fuck?
Integrity Houston, we
Earthquake
see
in
Orion
Indonesia?
in attitude and SAWS in position for PRM.
What now? Tsunami warning? Frank says, Fractal, it's okay, man. I feel your pain. I'm out of rice pudding. I think that's the worst thing that's happened to any human ever,
And
Frank.
A good call there at T plus 46 minutes, 20 seconds and counting of the Orion solar panels in good position and a good attitude ahead of the planned start of the 26-second perigee raise maneuver. Here is where about 46.5 minutes after liftoff.
7.8 earthquake in Maluku Sea, Indonesia. Indonesia
As
issues
we're looking out here
tsunami
back at
warning.
what is fortunately a pad devoid of a rocket, which means the mission off
Some
to,
sources are
thankfully,
revising
a
to
good start
7.4.
here. The mobile launcher, lots of work ahead to make sure it's in a good configuration for stacking to begin now later this year. We are joined once again by our friend and colleague, Stephen Clark, a space reporter now at Ars Technica. Stephen, it was a spectacular launch.
Yes.
What'd you think?
You couldn't ask for better weather for a launch. I mean, golden hour, you know, it was clear skies, gorgeous, gorgeous launch, and feeling that the thunder and the roar from the solid rocket boosters was something you really can't forget. It's unmistakable. It has a different feel to it than a liquid-fueled rocket. And followed it downrange for a good 5 minutes until it finally got too low on the horizon to see with the naked eye, but we could see the boosters separate from the core stage, and even caught a glimpse with the naked eye of the service module panel separating for just a moment until they got lost in the backdrop of the sky. So, I think I've gone on record in my writing and several podcasts and stuff that I'm pro day launch, and I'm so thankful that it launched before sunset. It was so much more interesting to see the rocket in daylight than on Artemis 1, which was, of course, at night, which was spectacular in its own right, but just seeing the rocket in all its glory is really something special.
Well, and now we can look forward to a whole bevy of onboard cameras and hopefully a trove of engineering camera views that will have the good definition of daylight for all the various endpoints of the terminal count, the liftoff, and I think we'll learn as a community visually a lot more about this vehicle here. Yes, and it'll be interesting to hear what NASA's perspective is. They may see something interesting or see some performance issue or optimization that they see in the video. But yeah, all the cameras are on the launch pad, the high-speed engineering cameras, the long-range trackers, the onboard cameras. We're going to be in for a treat as those videos come out over the coming hours and days. And it seems like this administration is one that really is pushing for the visuals to drive the story, so hopefully we won't have too terribly long to wait before we start seeing those troves show up on the NASA Video Archive and the HQ Flickr page. Let's hope so, yeah. I can't wait to see it. And so here we are now, just about 49.5 minutes post liftoff. The perigee raise maneuver should be getting underway here in just a second. If we hear the call that that's starting, we'll go ahead and pause so we can listen into that. Should last about 26 seconds in total. Coming up here in just a second. So we'll go ahead and pause and show you back some views of the SLS mobile launcher, now devoid of the SLS here. Let's go back to the sunset view. Here's where listening in for any callouts.
Okay, this is interesting, Lynn. The Artemis 2 moon
Not
mission
hearing anything for the moment on
launched
2.
exactly 13 minutes before this 7.4 earthquake ruptured in Indonesia on the other side of the globe. That would be right around when Artemis 2 was punching through the upper ionosphere, maybe over that location too.
I think if my memory serves, which will be beyond geosynchronous orbit, actually about twice the altitude of geosynchronous orbit, where a lot of communications satellites reside. So quite far out, and that will be, the farthest anyone has gone from Earth by far since 1972. Of course, this mission later on will it will break if everything goes according to plan, the distance record all time that was set during Apollo 13 out beyond the far side of the moon. But just going into this high Earth orbit is really, uncharted territory for human spaceflight in the last 50 years. And, this mission is chock full of potential firsts, depending on how the next several hours and the next several days go. But achieving that apogee raise maneuver, getting into that high Earth orbit, that'll be box number 1, because Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian, becomes the first non-American to go beyond low Earth orbit here in potentially just a little more than an hour's time, or a couple of hours time now.
First Canadian in space?
That's a good statistic, and that also buys them
Here's a picture of the crew with the Canadian,
once they finish this perigee raise maneuver, which should be going on now, right?
It should have concluded by now. It was only 26 seconds.
Ago. Yeah. That once they get into this low orbit, stable orbit, that buys them some time, and they can operate in low Earth orbit.
The Artemis crew in all of its glory.
There's no issue that I'm aware of coming up in the flight right now, so it looks like everything's going to proceed, assuming this burn was nominal all the way through the apogee, or the apogee raise maneuver next, and then the rendezvous and proximity operations demo, which will be, I think, one of the coolest parts of the mission for a lot of space nerds from a technical perspective.
Yes, I believe that is the correct term. That will be very exciting. one of the key parts of being in that high Earth orbit and being in that safe space where they can check out the spacecraft is making sure that they address some of the potential unknown unknowns. Does the toilet work? An important thing to address before you begin a 10-day journey towards the moon and back.
They would have tested that, hopefully, yeah?
Not recalling the exact timing of this, but they'll want to understand a little bit more about the flywheel that's on board, the exercise system, which the crew will spend about 30 minutes per astronaut a day on that flywheel as part of their process to make sure that they maintain good bone and muscle health throughout this 10-day mission. Not the 2 hours that astronauts at the International Space Station have to do, certainly. Standing by 1 second.
Just shy of 18 minutes long.
Looking live into the Johnson Space Center, this is Mission Control in the White Flight Room. I do not.
Why is this so boring? Literally just send a rocket around the moon. You're like,
Integrity Houston on Tidris West. White Sands is receiving data. Houston is not. We're still troubleshooting.
Looking at the Mission Control Center, Houston, as we were just...
Capcom Stan Love, part of the Ascent team, here in Mission Control Houston. We changed over to point to one of the tracking and data relay satellites at the expected time. That time was updated to 51 minutes, 26 seconds of mission elapsed time, going from Tidris East to Tidris West. Upon switching to Tidris West, Mission Control Houston, not seeing some of the data coming from Orion, coming from Integrity, so we're standing by to regain the ability and troubleshoot some of the rationale as to why we are having some intermittent gaps in our data and communications with the crew. Now again, as the teams are troubleshooting...
Integrity Houston in the blind. We see good solar normal maneuver. ARB TIG is expected to be 45 seconds earlier than the pad. That's 1 hour, 46 minutes, 0 9 seconds. No update to TIGO yet.
That was Capcom Stan Love here in Mission Control Houston. He used the term "in the blind." That refers to as part of the data.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the frickin' moon, that's why.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love...
That kid gets it. That's libertarian from the past.
Normal, meaning that the orientation, the attitude of the spacecraft is such that solar rays can draw the maximum amount of power.
Houston in the blind for Christina. Just before the teacher's handover, we heard your report about the lack of an oxone inlet filter. We copy that there is not one installed as expected, but please put in a new one.
What?
Team here you see in this row at the Capcom console is NASA astronaut Stan Love, the voice that you're hearing from the teams here in Mission Control Houston up to the crew of Integrity. A Capcom voice that you'll hear throughout the mission as well. Next to Dr. Love, to his right, is Jackie Mahaffey, the Chief Training Officer for the Artemis II crew, and a voice that you'll hear from here in Mission Control Houston. Flight Director Judd Freeling is to Stan Love's left.
Go before they can fire the button to go toward the moon. So let's see what happens. We got a lot of checkout, but we're underway. We're going back to the moon after 53 years.
Yeah, that is so well put. And obviously, that is the next hurdle where they'll vault themselves toward the moon in such a big way. What is this crew doing right now? Because they said over and over that they have a busy day ahead, and it felt like they almost slept in a little bit. I think it was like a 9:30, 9:45 wake-up call. What do they have on the slate? What is the crew doing right now as they kind of ascend around Earth?
Well, they've already activated some of the engines on the capsule, so they know that the vehicle is in pretty good shape, as far as I can tell. Again, the big thing was solar array deployment. That was great. Got to have power. And things look like they're checking them out one by one. And this four-person team, we got 3 NASA people, a Canadian astronaut. They have
3 astronauts and a Canadian
for what they're doing, and because of delays and all the other issues. But I'm fully confident that this is the crew that's going to take us back to the moon, and let's hope it all works out. There are a lot of technical issues. They're going to check out the life support
Santa Claus
system.
knows a lot about
That's
space.
Very important. I live here in Colorado, and Lockheed Martin built the Orion capsule. We've got some ways to go here before we get too embrace of the moon. We got a lot of checkout to do. Again, I'm a little bit on the pessimistic reporter side, but things are really looking good.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Orion capsule. They're trying to withstand and understand how much it can handle in terms of the space travel, because it's going to be up there
he has
for quite some time.
Pocket.
This one for the 10-day mission, but beyond, potentially into a month. What checklist are they going through to make sure that the Orion capsule is the capsule needed and necessary to get beyond just the moon?
Well, again, if you're living on board a space capsule, the life support system is very critical. So, the other thing that's kind of a weird story is the solar activity. You don't want radiation being thrown out while they're en route in this 10-day mission, or getting, 3 or 4 days out to the far side of the moon and coming back. So we've got to watch that. lot of interesting dynamics here. So, but it's so much fun. It is really fun. We are back.
Guys, we're having fun.
All 53 years of getting people moving outward to the moon, and wait till you see what's coming. I mean, that's my view. Wait till you see what's coming. This crew is really a milestone flight for the beginning of a return to the moon, a rebooting of the moon, and keep an eye on China. I'm a big reporter on China. They are very anxious about how this mission goes.
Apparently, Lynn.
And how
there is
Chinese human landing is going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, that is a very good point. You mentioned the crew several times. I want to put up this because it's hard to fathom what was going through their mind, what emotions they felt as they were sitting strapped to this 322-foot rocket. And these were some of the images prior as they were getting on board, and they felt like they were laughing, they were having a good time, they were enjoying themselves as they were getting strapped in. There's so much protocol around everything going on. The hatch finally closing the door on the Orion capsule, and everyone kind of keeping their distance from this going on. But we talk about the crew and how important they are. Can you describe what they do, what they are monitored in terms of the health of them? Because as you mentioned, it's not only about life support, but it's about the ability to kind of stay in shape aboard a Orion capsule. They're going to be working out. How much are they looking into how these individuals handle this space travel?
Well, the cool thing, they have been doing some preliminary looks at simulated far side observation. So when they're out there, when they get to a trajectory that's going to take them out there, they know what they're going to be looking for on the far side of the moon as they circle back to the Earth. And they've got some great opportunity there to see part of the lunar surface that has not been viewed by humans in the Apollo program. So, it's a great time. I will say, again, you got to be cautious here. The reentry at 25,000 miles an hour back to the Earth is going to be another nail biter. I don't have any nails left after the launch. So I'm kind of worried about that. That's a human thing, but I'm worried about that reentry. We have some issues that cropped up on the Artemis 1 launch that people were very worried about reentry of the heat shield. So they have a heat shield that they're going to do some special maneuvering, and they're going to try to lessen the heat load on that heat shield. And Commander and the Earth Control have got to be very precise, and one hopes everything goes very well after a 10-day voyage to the moon and back.
Yeah, that is so very true. You kind of set the stage of what those kind of obstacles, those stages are, and you can see Victor Glover there and Christina Koch. Those were the individuals in this image right now. Lloyd, I want to continue on because you mentioned what happens potentially in a day's time as they will be shipped off toward the moon. What are you looking for? What signals from Mission Control and also the Orion capsule that would signal everything's going to plan? What do you hope to hear in the next 24, 48 hours?
We're go for trans-lunar injection.
Trans-lunar insertion?
This is real test of the Orion capsule. Make sure that all systems are good, life support, control systems, propulsion.
They're going to fly back into Gaza.
Again, I'm a little. I'm always worried about every step of the way. You got to make sure that everything is on board and everything is ready to go. Then you got to watch the sun, solar radiation, and all the other stuff that's coming. It really is. And I think I'm going to be a little corny here. If you jump up 25 years from now, this is not the way we're going to the moon. This is a lot of work, lot of energetic problems. We've got a lot of issues. But then, at some point, this is going to look like the Wright brothers going. 1903 or 6 or whatever the time frame was, we're doing space flight now the best we can do. This is not the way it's going to be 25, 50 years from now. So
Libertarian,
get
right?
ready.
Basically, Elon is
Strap
going to make
on,
it better.
because a future is waiting for us right now, and you won't believe what's coming.
That is so very cool. My last question before I let you go, because you mentioned just the historical nature of it. We talk about everything that's going on. You talk about some of those other components. What else are you keeping your eye on to make everything sure goes all right?
It's just, it's the safety of the crew. And I think we're going to hear some great comment from as they go around the moon and far side. Who knows what they're going to see? Who knows what observations they can make? It's coming back and re-entering. It is, I tried to grow my nails long for this mission, and I'm down to the quick already. I don't know where the quick starts.
He's obsessed with
stops
eating
and
his
starts, but I'm
fingernails.
I'm
he
there.
talks about.
Let's go, man. This is going to be fun. I hope it's energetic for the astronauts. And I think it's going to propel America into a new opportunity in the 21st century.
It's truly incredible.
Exploration.
All right, Leonard, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You, amongst everyone else watching here with us on Live Now from Fox, obviously our heart stopped a little bit as they finally had that countdown go to 0, and it did eventually lift off successfully. I appreciate your time, your insight, as always, here on Live Now.
I'm going to turn off the heart pump.
Me too. All right, talk soon. All right, great conversation there, breaking it all down as we were just having this. 6:35 and 12 seconds. That was the launch time exact of Artemis 2 on its way into the Earth's orbit, and then soon enough around the moon in soon time. This from social media, NASA Artemis, saying the Artemis 2 mission, the 4 crew members will travel some 685,000 miles, looping around the moon back to Earth. The mission follows a free return trajectory that uses the gravity of the Earth and Moon to naturally guide the crew home. So there's lots of different facets to this, including some of those wings, some of those solar array wings that will use the energy generated from the sun's rays to help them maneuver in this kind of trajectory around Earth. And the next big hurdle is that one, the jump from Earth's orbit on their way to the moon, about 250 or so thousand miles away from the Earth. So we're following it all here on Live Now from Fox, and I know so many people around the country and around the world are also tuning in to this coverage, and we want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox and other individuals tuning in. Here you can see from Story S saying, my husband and I are watching Artemis 2 launch from our home in Wild Horse Mesa, Colorado. You can see there.
So someone captured it from a plane. From Nigeria.
So happy to see the complex process that goes into this historic flight. So not only people here in the United States, but beyond are watching. Nairobi, Kenya, saying they're watching. Austin posting this on social media, posting this and sending it our way, courtesy of that QR code. So if you are watching, if you watch the Artemis launch unfold as so many, potentially millions,
So Trump is supposed to give an address tonight, and according to the White House, he's likely to announce a drawdown of the war, which depends on talks mediated by Pakistan. Perfect time for Israel to try and kill the Iranian negotiator talking to the Pakistanis. Kamal Karazi, a former Iranian foreign minister, was injured in what is described as an attack on residential buildings in Tehran by the United States and Israel on Wednesday. Wow, Karazi was considered a veteran policy expert and moderate politician and the head of Iran's Foreign Policy Council, which sets the country's overall foreign policy. 2 Iranian officials said Karazi had been overseeing engagement with Pakistan for a possible meeting between Iranian officials and Vice President J.D. Vance. The officials said the targeting of Karazi is being viewed as an attempt to derail diplomacy.
Hiccup there around the time of the burn with some of the ground systems, but it sounds like they're on a path towards getting that resolved.
Yes, a very auspicious start, I think, to Artemis 2 and humanity's return to the moon. It was a beautiful show here as we saw the Space Launch System rise from the launch pad just behind us, heading out east, and then we heard a call from Commander Reed Wiseman a few minutes after launch that they were heading into moonrise. They could see the moon from their spacecraft, so destination in view as they headed downrange here from Kennedy Space Center. So yeah, very exciting day. Everything went about as well, I think, as NASA could have hoped for. And critical moments ahead, the apogee raise maneuver, the separation from the ICPS, the Orion separation from the upper stage, and then the manual flying and proximity operations demonstration later tonight. So the day's not over, but certainly the fireworks are over, hopefully, and everything went well today. So excited to be here.
Yeah, the local fireworks, the local show is done, but the mission persists. Packed 9+ days ahead for this flight crew. Lots to cover, starting with that important proximity demonstration.
Really busy up there.
Set the template for future docking in Artemis missions yet to come. Stephen Clark with Ars Technica. Folks can find your work, of course, at arstechnica.com and on X at StephenClark1. If I got that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks for being with us, my friend. Really
Always
appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And big thank you to our audience here for being with us for however much of the day that you were with us, from the start of fueling to the excitement building, the team walking out from crew quarters, heading out to the pad, getting in their spacecraft, working through some issues, but persisting nonetheless. A slightly later liftoff from the opening of the window, but they had the time, they took it, and we got a good start to the Artemis 2 mission.
Full moon tonight?
As we mentioned, there's a lot left to cover with this flight, as the destination, as Stephen said, is still ahead of them. The moon lies out in front, and we'll certainly learn a lot more about the spacecraft and the crew as they make their voyage around our own satellite and eventually make their way back here safely to Earth. Want to give a big thank you to all of our team who has been
beyond low Earth orbit in more than 50 years. This is just Artemis 2, the first crewed portion of this program. They also have an ambitious schedule over the next several years in 2027, 2028, as they hope to be putting boots back on the moon in some of the next
boots
journeys.
on the moon.
Let's take us out right now to Rebecca.
Are we
Castle
declaring war on the moon
on
now?
Space Coast of what we witnessed, how historic it was today.
Bomb the moon.
A historic day for NASA as the space agency embarks on its first moon mission in more than 50 years.
10.
A historic launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. For the first time in more than 50 years, NASA is attempting to send humans back to the moon.
Houston, integrity. Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
It's a great day for
all
of
we're
humanity.
outflanking
But Artemis
Iran.
2 is not about landing on the moon. Instead, the Orion spacecraft will orbit Earth twice before slingshotting towards the moon. Orion will go around the dark side of the moon, and the astronauts will go deeper into space than any humans before them. The primary purpose of the mission is to test the spacecraft itself and the astronauts' equipment ahead of future flights.
They're going to be testing the systems of this rocket, specifically the human life support system.
NASA has grand plans for the moon. Future Artemis missions will put astronauts back on the lunar surface. Then NASA wants to establish a long-term presence there, including a permanent base.
We are not going back just to put the flag, leave the footsteps, and bring back rocks. We're going back to stay.
That opens up a whole range of research opportunities and potential discoveries.
The moon doesn't have an atmosphere. It doesn't have an active geology. So we could find tremendous amounts of very valuable resources.
All of this in pursuit of an even further target, sending humans to Mars.
For oil on the moon.
It used to be he who controls the seas controls the world. Now it's he who controls space controls the world.
If all goes according to plan, the astronauts will return to Earth in 10 days, splashing down in the Pacific
Trump has
Ocean.
already declared the moon
At
the
Kennedy
51st
Space Center,
state.
Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, and today was a big success, a ringing success, but there are still many other challenges beyond our horizons. This 10-day journey, obviously slingshotting them moonbound before.
Right,
some of
Fractal,
those
hopefully
next
they tested the
portions,
human
Artemis
life
2,
support
3,
systems
4, 5,
before
obviously
the launch.
launching in the future.
What do you mean
All right, Manny Mac,
we're
you're live
testing
now
the
from Fox.
human
We'll
life
find a way
support
for another
systems?
quick 2-minute break. Coming up after it, we're going to take you back out to this historic.
If I'm on that rocket, like, wait, were these not already tested at all? What do you mean?
Honoring him as king. They call me king now. Do you believe it? No king. I'm such a king, I can't get a ballroom approved. It's pretty amazing, right? I'm a king. If I was a king, we'd be doing a lot more. I'm doing a lot, but I could be doing a lot more if I was a king. Yet he had not come to...
This just in. Trump wishes he was king. Okay, here's a camera. Camera on the rocket. The Ali G with Buzz Aldrin. See if I can find a clip.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high. On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the orbit.
Stream done.
Target milestone. Mission
Now we're going to hang around for Trump's Iran speech tonight.
System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
Matthew, Trump is giving a speech tonight about the Middle East war, supposedly. In about an hour, allegedly. What do you guys want to do for an hour?
Passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same?
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis 2 mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour.
Linvids. Trump says if you didn't have me, you wouldn't have Israel.
But seriously, if you didn't have me, if you had some different type of a president, you wouldn't have Israel. I know you're big Israel fans. Frankly, evangelicals and Christians, just Christians, I think they like Israel more than Jewish people like Israel, if you want to know the truth. It's really true. I get so many coming up, but I don't know when that started. It did start not thousands of years ago, I can tell you. It started, but the love for Israel is great. You wouldn't have Israel, and you wouldn't have the Middle East either. You would not have. You would have had a nuclear weapon. It started by taking out Soleimani. But seriously, if you didn't have me, if you had some different type of a president, you wouldn't have Israel.
Time into the Artemis 2 mission. Thrusters on Integrity and upper stage confirmed in a ready state ahead of service module fairing separation. Three minutes into the flight. Integrity, 49 miles in altitude, 78 miles downrange, now passing 5,000 miles per hour.
Rebel Yankee, Google Earth Tel Aviv for bomb damage. Does Google Earth update that quickly?
Standing by for launch abort system jettison.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy jettison, Team Eco 8+02.
We see the same on board, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on Tidris at the Carmen line.
Outstanding, Stan.
Apparently some severe weather coming to Ohio.
3 minutes, 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis 2, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen cross the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working on internal checks to verify accuracy. Flight Dynamics Officer analyzed the time of main engine cutoff, confirmed at 8 minutes, 2 seconds, time of MECO.
Integrity, GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Approaching 5 minutes into the flight, Commander Reed Wiseman confirms he has visuals of his destination. GPS guidance, navigation, and control software finishes internal checks and sends to navigation channels.
Integrity, 3 engine press.
3 engine press.
On time, now passing 5 minutes, 20 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. At this point, 3 good main engines are all that's needed to carry Integrity to a nominal main engine cutoff target. Though at this time we're seeing 4 good engines here in Mission Control Houston. Integrity, 75 miles in altitude, 330 miles downrange, approaching 10,000 miles per hour.
Frank, you didn't miss anything. We're just rewatching the
Integrity, looking good at 6 minutes.
The Integrity streams.
Of the burn at the pad was 17 minutes 52 seconds. Ahead of the execution of the burn, any changes in that duration will be reported to the crew and uploaded to ensure that the apogee raise burn goes as expected and puts them on the predicted trajectory. That trajectory being 43,730 miles by 0 statute mile orbit.
I can see the
This
moon.
high Earth orbit will take the crew of Integrity past the tracking and data relay satellites that are positioned about 23,000 miles away from the Earth. Again, they're currently on Tidra's west. And they will transition to the Deep Space Network. The apogee raise burn time of ignition again at 1 hour 46 minutes and 9 seconds of mission elapsed time. That is expected and will occur during the post-launch press briefing. So as part of our 24/7 coverage, the briefing itself will overlap with that particular milestone. To follow along on our 24/7 coverage, we won't necessarily stop our coverage. The clean Orion to Earth loops will be available on our clean feed that will show a view similar to what you're seeing now. This is a view from the solar array wings, and you'll also hear the communications between Capcom's Stan Love here and the crew aboard Integrity, and you can listen as they confirm the execution of the burn and any changes of the burn. When we come back from the press conference, expected about around 8:05 p.m. Central Time, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, we'll go ahead and recap any of the milestones that occurred while we transitioned to the press briefing to answer the questions that come from the press, and continue along on our 24/7 coverage.
Houston Integrity for CFC install. That is complete.
Copy CFC, thank you.
And Houston, just want to let you know, since we're running a touch behind timeline, we have not yet started suit doff for any of the four crew members. We'll get to it in a bit.
Copy, thank you.
Brock doesn't care about no moon launch. Jarvis, need a little Louis Armstrong? Yeah, didn't Louis Armstrong go to the moon? Play the trumpet up there or something? I guess China's also trying to land astronauts on the moon by 2030. I guess we've accelerated our program to try to beat them there.
Numbers when you're ready.
Stan, we are ready.
And sorry, false alarm. Still integrating on the ground. We'll be back with you shortly.
Good practice call. Talk to you in a second.
Great practice call.
Roger.
This is Mission Control Houston. For those still with us, the press briefing that was scheduled to begin at 7:05 will begin shortly. They're just getting set up, and just stay tuned until we are able to transition to beginning.
Activity on Jeremy's timeline is complete.
To the beginning of the press briefing.
Copy docking camera. Thank you.
Teams on the ground are analyzing the time of ignition and what's called T-GO, the duration of the burn. At the time ahead of liftoff, the duration of the burn was 17 minutes 52 seconds. There might be some changes. The flight dynamics officer and his support in the back rooms are analyzing to make sure that what they are about to report to the crew is rock solid.
God, this is where we encounter aliens, and then the Epstein files are really forgotten about. Epstein files have basically already been forgotten about, but I hear you.
Time.
Okay, Stan, we're listening. Go ahead.
ARB TIG, 1 hour, 46 minutes, 07 seconds. TGO is 18 minutes, 06 seconds.
Okay, Stan, we copy and have entered 1 hour, 46 minutes, 7 seconds for TIG, and TGO, 18 minutes, 6 seconds.
Thank you for that. With that, we also have an updated time for the handover from teeters west to east. That is going to be over 6 minutes earlier than what's on your pad. You can expect that at MET 2 hours, 03 minutes, 04 seconds, 2:03:04.
Two, 3, 4. For handover west to east. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. And integrity 2 minutes to maneuver.
PFE is reading 3, which is nominal.
Copy PFE. And integrity, we are ready for the Eclipse power down per your execute note.
All right. Supposedly a post-launch news conference coming soon.
All right, as we've continued to follow along on the mission, here in Mission Control Houston and on the Orion to Earth loops, we'll take you over to the beginning of the press briefing, the post-launch press briefing over at the Kennedy Space Center.
Great question, Todd. I don't know. I feel like I saw a video about that once, but I don't remember. What the hell is this from the White House? The White House posted this. What is going on? Boomer brain what? Vanillity, bing bing wahoo. I mean, is something wrong? Why is this news conference 15 minutes late almost?
Integrity, we see DU3 right at center. We see DUs 1 and 2, a couple of clicks above center. We're checking power draw now.
Copy that, Stan, and obviously when we go into eclipse, we can bring them down a bit further.
Roger.
Chief, yeah. The White House. What do kids like these days? Those Nintendo gamer systems? Mario and stuff?
When we get into eclipse, we would like those extra clicks on DUs 1 and 2.
Yeah, you got it. We did bring 1 and 2 down a touch, but we'll bring them down as far as we can when we get into eclipse.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
Good evening and welcome to NASA's Artemis 2 post-launch news conference. I'm Bethany Stevens, Senior Advisor and Press Secretary, and I will be your moderator today. I am joined by Administrator Jared Isaacman, Associate Administrator Amit Kshatriya, Acting Associate Administrator for the Exploration System Development Mission Directorate, Dr. Lori Glaze, and Director of Flight Operations, Norm Knight. Administrator Isaacman will give opening remarks, and then we will open the floor to questions. If you are dialing in to be with us here today, please press *1 to get in the queue. And with that, Administrator.
Thanks, Bethany. Good evening, everyone. So today, April 1st, 2026, 6:35 p.m., NASA Space Launch System rocket lifted off the pad with 8.8 million pounds of thrust, carrying the Orion spacecraft and the Artemis 2 crew out to Earth orbit and beginning America's grand return to the moon. Now, about 51 minutes into the flight, during a planned handover between satellites, the Orion spacecraft underwent a communications issue, leading to a temporary partial loss of comms. The uplink from Capcom to the crew was being heard by the crew, but we cannot hear their responses for a brief period of time. There were no issues with the vehicle itself. Comms with the crew have been restored. We're actively working the issue, and we'll keep you informed. The Orion spacecraft has successfully separated from the core stage, and its solar arrays have been deployed as planned. Soon the crew will execute the apogee raise burn, placing the spacecraft into a stable, high Earth orbit as we prepare for the translunar injection and the journey into cislunar space. NASA astronauts Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian Space Agency mission specialist Jeremy Hansen are safe, they're secure, and they're in great spirits. We will continue to monitor their health and the status as we move into the next phase of the Artemis 2 mission. So after a brief 54-year intermission, NASA is back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon. We have arrived at this point through a sustained effort and national commitment and the work of thousands across the agency, our industry partners, and our international allies. I want to personally thank the ground crews, pad controllers, the entire workforce here at Kennedy Space Center. This mission belongs as much to you as it does to the crew. The crew is now in the capable hands of Mission Control Houston, the Johnson Space Center, where teams will guide Orion through each phase of the mission with the same discipline and precision that has brought us to this moment. We've certainly been here before. We know the challenges ahead. We have a lot of checkouts to get through before TLI. And when, if all goes well, everything is go, Artemis 2 will be moonbound. You have our commitment to keep the public as informed as possible on this historic mission. And we will celebrate when this crew, we will hold our celebration until this crew is under parachutes and splashes down off the west coast of the United States. Thank you.
So with that, we will open this up to questions, and we will start here in the room if we have any takers. We'll start right up here.
Congratulations to all of you on a successful launch so far. My name is Jim Siegel. I'm with Florida Media Now, and I'm curious about when the astronauts will have their first meal on this mission. And secondly, is somebody on the Earth here, back in Houston or somewhere, keeping track of what they eat during this entire mission? And
this is your first
and how
question?
do they go about doing that? Do they tell them what to eat, or do they kind of select what they want? What do you think?
Well, let's see. I'll jump in on this one. Well, what I'll tell you is they do have planned meals, okay? So they have a planned meal today. I will tell you they're very busy. So
they're so
Ascent
busy.
Day
We keep saying
is
that.
very
They're
tough.
so
It's tough
busy.
physiologically.
Doing
and it's
what?
tough from a workload issue as well. And so this timeline between now when the crew goes to sleep, so MET of about 8:30 is pretty packed. They're going to snack. They probably have some pre-positioned meals. I know they did in their flight suit. Some of the snacks that they can use if they need. But I will also tell you that flight day 1 and flight day 2, you might not feel like eating a lot, and that's just part of it. Your body is acclimating to 0G. Your physiology is transitioning from a 1G environment to 0.
You're too busy to eat,
and it takes a little bit of adapting. So right now they're working hard. They are doing what they need to do. They sound great on the loops. That was really a good signal to us that they're feeling well. But just know that that's part of the equation, you know, when they get on orbit. As far as the food being tracked, yes, we have a food lab, and we have folks at the Johnson Space Center tracking what they eat, the nutrition, the calories. It makes a difference. They do this on Artemis. They do it on Space Station as well. So we're well versed in that. We want to make sure that they're healthy, and we also want to make sure we know what they're doing, what they're eating, so we can also track that and make sure that they don't need any supplements or anything additional.
Thank you. We'll head over to Joey.
I did not see that, Lynn.
Thanks, guys, and congrats on a clean launch so far. Jared, or whoever wants to answer, how were you able to resolve the communications issue, and do you have any guesses as to what might have caused that? And was there any part of the mission so far that appeared off nominal, or is everything looking good? Just curious to hear how things are going on that. Thanks.
Well, on the comms issue, and I don't know, there may be someone here that has a little more detail than I do of having to run around quite a bit, but I think they're still looking into trying to really understand exactly what was going on there. But it's restored, which is important. I think it just.
It was during handover to Tidris West. Sometimes that's squirrely. Ground configuration, you gotta get that right. So hopefully that's what it is. But we'll chase it down. But they were able to recover. They had intermittent forward and return links, so the burns that they needed on board it was never an issue. It was unusual for it to be dropped out for a couple minutes. So that's what we're telling you. We had a controller issue with the toilet when they spun it up, so we got to work through that. That's going to take maybe a few hours to troubleshoot.
The toilet's already broken?
There was also a water tank valve. There's 4 water tanks on Orion. There's a crossover valve that connects the 2 gangs of tanks. It's supposed to be open to ensure maximum flow.
Who clogged the toilet already?
During Ascent, when you shake the thing. things like that happen, so they're going to preset the valve. And then they had a recurrence of on Artemis 1, we had a latching current limiter failure on a piece of electronics, a transient failure when it gets exposed to radiation. They took one hit of those. We took about 24, 25 of those during Artemis 1. Again, normal, the onboard fault detection cleans that up, but we're just getting started, Joey.
Right, there's a flight test, and a lot of what we're doing here is exactly this, trying to test out all of the things that require the crew interaction, right? And so we anticipate to have a lot of these. Well, that's what we're here for, work through them.
Sawyer.
Importantly, apogee rays burn. We're go. So they're going to stay in space.
Sawyer.
Thank you, Sawyer Rosenstein, NSF. I noticed that the slide wire baskets happened to deploy during launch. Is that something that was expected? And can you give any initial reports, at least what you've seen from the cameras, of how the mobile launcher is doing, given the hope to be able to quickly turn it around?
Yeah,
Do you have something on the baskets? I can talk about the turnaround.
The baskets they're supposed to get out of the way. That's part of the plan. So otherwise they take plume loads, and we don't like that.
So I can tell you, on the mobile launcher, our team has already been looking at a lot of the imagery that we have that was taken, both during and after, and assessing that, trying to get the condition. We've got teams, I believe, going out there. They might already be out on their way to take a real look. Some of the good things that we've seen relative to Artemis 1, one of the issues we had was that the water that was supposed to be spraying down the launch pad, so that there were some issues there that didn't happen. We saw a lot of corrosion. The water was working, so things were getting washed down. We're still also going to remove some of the parts so that we can do some of that cleaning to make sure we don't have those corrosion issues. We haven't seen evidence of things like after Artemis 1, like the elevator doors were blown off. We haven't seen that. So we're optimistic, but we got to get out to the pad. We got to look. We did a lot of changes after Artemis 1, trying to harden the systems so that we can turn it around faster. We do anticipate there will be some items that'll need to be replaced. It's a pretty violent environment, but we're hopeful that that's minimized, and as soon as we have more information on that, we'll definitely let you guys know where we stand and how quickly we think we can get it turned around. Thanks.
Lauren. Lauren Gresh with Bloomberg. I just wanted to get a gut check on how we're feeling about the upcoming proximity and ops operation. Do we have any concerns with that TDRS delay, or is that not an issue for that?
I would say right now we're on for the proximity operations demo. Haven't heard anything that's keeping us from that, Norm?
No. On track, ready to go. Victor Glover's going to be flying it. Reed's going to be working the procedure with him. And cross-checking, and Jeremy and Christina are going to be looking out the windows, also spotting, cross-checking, using cameras and imagery, and it should be beautiful, so we can't wait.
We'll go right over here.
Yes, Bert Dicht from Ad Astra Magazine, National Space Society. Just wondering if the astronauts reported what the ride was like to orbit. I know with the space shuttle, it was a pretty rough ride until there was SRB SEP. Was this similar?
Have you heard?
I have not heard a report yet. I know we will get a report. Again, yes. When MECO happened, immediately they were getting prepped to do their perigee raise maneuver. That's critical. Otherwise, they come back to Earth, which we don't want them to. So they got that. They are working to get their spacesuits off. They just got the ARB burn, which was very important. So now they're working to get their suits off. So they are very busy. Now later today, I anticipate they will call down and give us a full brief as to how the Proxox demo went, how the ride uphill went, and I personally can't wait to hear the comparison between this massive rocket and the shuttle.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Micah.
Thanks, Bethany. Micah Maidenberg, Wall Street Journal. Maybe for the administrator, I'd like to ask you, I know we're early on here, how you're thinking about success for this mission, defining success, a lot of tests ahead, and just what happens if you don't kind of meet that standard as the flight unfolds. Thanks so much.
Well, I mean, to me, success is undershoots and in the water safely after a 10-day mission duration, so no early off ramps there. think we're, right now we're already getting good ECLIS data. We've never flown Orion with crew on board, so that's pretty important. I mean, understanding the Orion spacecraft is, is paramount in this one to progress on to integrated operations of Orion with a lander. Every day we're getting data. It says, it was mentioned from the get-go, this is a test mission for sure. No crew have ever ridden this before. We'll keep gathering data over the next 10 days. We'll share updates, but we'll call success when they're in the water safely, and we'll start working on the next mission.
Jackie.
Hi. Right here. Sorry if I missed it. I just wanted to check in on the status of the perigee and apogee burns. Are those both finished at this point? And then I also wanted to check best way to explain to the audience why we're doing that apogee raise maneuver and why we go into that high Earth orbit. Thanks so much.
Do you want to take that? I mean, I can certainly say we've completed the perigee raise maneuver. That was done pretty quickly, as you heard, and the apogee raise burn should have already happened. That should have been happening while we sat here. They were getting ready as we were walking in. And then if you want to talk maybe about the rest.
So we go into a high Earth orbit. Roughly, the perigee is about 1,000 nautical miles, rough give or take, of the Earth, 25,000. So it's pretty elliptical. That's getting us, everything we do is getting us set up for the translunar injection burn. And so it's getting these burns, it's all converging down to what we call TLI. So we got to get the ECLIS system checked out. We got to make sure we have a redundancy. We got to make sure these burns go off where they should go off, and get Orion and the SM configured exactly where it needs to be, so when it comes around and it's time for the translunar injection burn, off we go. And that takes us really, that puts us outbound to the moon. That's a real big commit point. And so you'll be hearing more about that tomorrow.
You might mention it not only sends us outbound to the moon, but it also sets us up for the gravity assist that brings us back. So we are set all the way.
Yes.
Once we make that burn.
Go right back here.
Hi, TJ Musco with the Epoch Times. Thank you all so much. Something that hasn't been really talked about is that the Space Launch System predates the Artemis program. We got going all the way back to 2011, so 15 years really invested in this. And just how does it feel to finally see it, launch with the human crew on board?
Yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, we're focused on the next 10 days. But I mean, I'll tell you, I'm incredibly proud of the folks that worked on this machine for as long as they did. One thing we didn't talk about earlier was, one of the big objectives is getting the organization and getting our qualification standards and getting our certification rigor up to the standard for crewed flight. That's a big, even though the mission is a complicated mission, moving the entire organization to a mindset of thinking about risk in the right way to fly crew is a big deal. And making sure that the way we've gotten the machine configured to fly crew with the resilience and the reliability we care about is also a big deal. So it takes time. I mean, we got a lot in front of us, but I mean, for the guys that were out there, there's a big celebration in launch control for the rocket guys. The rocket guys can go out and play now, but the spacecraft guys got a lot of homework, so they're going to go work on that. But yeah, for them, I could see it on their faces.
Jeff.
Jeff Faust of Space News. During the countdown, we heard controllers working through a few issues, one with the flight termination system, one with the launch abort system battery, and it sounded like there was a brief telemetry dropout. Wonder if you could provide a little bit more details about those issues and how you resolved them relatively quickly.
Yeah, so Jeff, the FTS issue was we were doing an end-to-end test. We typically have to confirm that we can get a signal from the range to the machine and then back. We weren't able to close that entire end-to-end loop. But the guys at the range, they were really quick on their feet. They swapped to a different range receiver, which is a slightly different heritage, but has the same fundamental algorithms on it, and they were able to switch over to that and able to confirm a good end-to-end signal, which is really clever. We had thought about getting a receive-only box that we had in the VAB and shipping that over to Patrick quickly so they could do it, but they were able to fix it on the fly over there, so that was good. And once we knew we could confirm the end-to-end loop of that command, then we didn't need that receive. We don't need to do that test more than once. We just need to verify the commands get on board. And so once we confirmed that command was there, then we met all of our public safety risk. For the launch abort system, we had a battery, so 2 batteries, several temperature sensors on both We had one poke out of family. We want to make sure all of them are tracking within certain limits, but we could confirm, given the locations of the temperature sensors, where they are on the battery itself, that the reading was instrumentation, because there wasn't a credible physics-based explanation for why that sensor would be that far high. It was an order of magnitude off scale high from the rest, and so we were able to quickly vote that sensor out. So that was two of the major issues. But again, the team, this is what the training is for. This is what the practice is for, is to go into those things and knock them out quickly. So they did really well.
We'll go right over here.
I noticed there was a lack of public address announcing outside, and there was a lot of going back and forth when we realized there were some issues, and we had to go back inside to find out. Well, we had to have our phones. Why was there no public address system available with loudspeakers outside?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. We're not sure what issue you're talking about the public address. Okay.
All available to people outdoors, and I thought that was a lacking.
We'll take a look into that.
We'll definitely look into that. I wasn't aware that happened. So thank you for that information. That's new.
How are they not aware of that? What?
We'll go right back here.
Thomas Moore, Sky News. Administrator Isaacman, as a fellow astronaut, what were your feelings watching your crew rising above Pad 39B? And do you feel that extra sense of responsibility for the crew as they head further into space?
I certainly felt that it would be, just from, I guess, my perspective in it, that, I don't know, it is far less stressful to be strapped into the rocket than to be responsible for it here on Earth.
Damn it,
so I definitely had those feelings quite a bit.
You got me.
But, you derive a lot of confidence from the process that leads up to this moment. I mean, literally the army of people that came together across NASA, all our contractors, all our partners to prepare for this, every step that leads up to it. This is what I, was really honestly going through my mind through it, is all the testing that goes into it, the integrated testing, the flight readiness review, everything that goes into a flight readiness review. Not to mention you have a truly exceptional crew up there that have been training for years on this. That gives you the confidence to undertake this mission, especially knowing the implications that it is part of a much bigger program. This is America and our partners' return to the moon, and we're trying to do it this time to stay. So, incredibly important mission. Certainly felt the pressure of it, but it was relieved, based on the confidence we have in the team here at NASA and everyone who contributes to it. Thank you for the question.
We'll come right up here.
Frederic Castel with
that is
France
true,
24.
That is true.
First, of course, congratulations to NASA for the grand return to the moon. Mr. Administrator, I have this question that they ask me constantly in Europe and in the States. In the 60s, NASA was using just the slide rule to go to the moon, and they could launch almost every 3 months. Of course, they had more money probably, but what happened in 50 years? Why is it so difficult to make it again? What has changed?
Hong, TT.
Well, for sure, we knew. Look, it's a very fair question. I know a lot of people ask it, not just in your country, but here in the United States. Certainly, financial resources are part of the equation. NASA's budget, if I recall, was somewhere between 4 and 4.5% of the discretionary budget during the space race. About a quarter percentage of that today. And I mean, to be very honest with you, I think competition is a factor in this as well. It's a great way to mobilize the resources of a nation and concentrate on something extremely challenging, and that's what we did in the 1960s. And I think with absent some competition, we focused a lot on partnerships and all that we could do collectively with respect to science and discovery. But competition can be a good thing, and we certainly have competition now. I think that's why you're seeing us start to concentrate our resources back to the objective, and do it with a great coalition across the NASA workforce, our contractors, all our partners that have come together, our stakeholders in Congress and the administration who came here to witness this launch, is because they know we have competition, and this one's going to be close. And I think as a result, you're going to see a lot more progress, more so than you have in the, since when this was originally conceived under Constellation. We're going to get back into the business of launching rockets on a regular cadence, and we're going to bring the world along with us. So.
We're going to take a couple of phone bridge questions for just a moment. Reminder that you can join by pressing *1 to get into the queue. We're going to start with Will Robinson-Smith from Spaceflight Now.
Hi, thank you, Bethany, and congratulations, everyone, on a good mission so far. Question about the upcoming TLI burn tomorrow. At what point during the day will the team conduct a poll on readiness to proceed into the TLI, and what are the main criteria that you'll be assessing to make that final determination? Thank you.
Okay, well, the TLI burn actually happens about the time that launch happens, so it's 1 day into the mission. So tomorrow, Eastern time, would be about 6:35-ish. Obviously, those burn times can change, so check that before tomorrow. But what are the teams looking for before TLI? We're looking to make sure that the life support systems work, that the vehicle's healthy, the life support systems have been checked out, they're ready to go. We assure that those are functional, because once we commit to TLI, they have to function. And so we want to make sure. So that's why we spend a day checking out the systems. Ascent is, you shake, rattle, and roll a little bit, the vehicle. You saw that today. And you can imagine what that does to the systems. The systems, though, are performing very well. We anticipate that they continue to, but we want to get some track record on them before we do that. We also want to make sure we have redundancy in the system for comm, for environmental life support, propulsion, those type things, before we embark on that TLI mission. So that's what the mission control team in Houston will be doing tomorrow. Jeff Radigan and his team, as the lead flight director, will be well into that. The teams are well versed on it. They have trained for it. They work very closely in conjunction with the engineering team, the mission evaluation room in Houston, where the engineers that have the intricate knowledge of Orion come together with the operations team, and together they work with the crew to make sure that the vehicle, is doing what we want to and accomplishing the mission objectives that we need to. But it always comes down to crew safety, vehicle safety, and mission objectives in that order.
I might also mention, as those teams are checking out all of those systems, there will also be a meeting of the mission management team that's led by John Honeycutt, whom I think many of you have seen before, and they'll be meeting tomorrow afternoon to hear all of the results from what's happened over the last day, in preparation to make the decision on whether or not we proceed with the TLI burn.
We will next go right back here to Manuel.
Thank you so much. Manuel Massanti with Exploración Espacial. I understand that the CubeSats are going to be deployed like 5 hours into the flight. Is there any chance we're going to see live images of the deployment? And then when is the crew, I know they're super busy right now, but when are they going to start using the flywheel machine on its way to the moon, when everything is more like...
The second question was to do when they start doing the manual as far as...
Flywheel machine.
Oh, the flywheel machine. Sorry, thank you, the exercise machine.
I guess after the TLI.
I'll do this exercise. Yeah, I'll hand that to you, but I can answer the CubeSats. So the CubeSats are installed in the Orion stage adapter, which is actually a part of the upper stage piece, right? So once Orion separates from the upper stage, we'll do the ProxOps demonstration, right? And then once Orion has cleared and we're away, then they will be deployed. So Orion won't be there to take images of them, and once they are deployed, they each of them have their own plans for being able to communicate back down to Earth to various ground stations. They have their own communication plans, so we'll start to get information back from those individual CubeSats. So that's kind of the plan and the path forward on the CubeSat deployment and what you can expect.
We're going to take one more question from the phone bridge from Christopher Mick of the Hudson Star Observer.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to all the teams thus far. I had a question from an earlier media availability with Jeremy Hansen. He made mention of if the mission launched on April 1st, they would be experiencing a lunar eclipse. And I just want to follow up on that, if that's where that would be happening in the mission timeline, and if there would be any video perchance of that happening, or is that just going to be on the astronauts' photography at the time?
So you may have to answer the question on whether or not there'll be the availability of the what kind of real time. I'm not sure what we'll have there, but the crew will get to observe the eclipse. This is pretty unique. It's kind of interesting. It actually doesn't happen when they're out of comm, so they will be having communication during that eclipse time. But during the eclipse, the moon will be blocking the sun. They will be able to see the sun's corona, which is kind of cool. So they've been having a lot of science lessons over the last couple of days to learn about that and the eventuality that we actually launched today. So they're prepared to make those solar observations. It'll be a pretty cool and unique opportunity. I'm sure we'll get some images down at some point. I just don't know if they'll be live.
Tarek.
Thank you very much. Tarek Malik with Space.com for the administrator. There have been a lot of comparisons of Artemis 2 to Apollo 8, a pioneering mission, daring, that sent astronauts on an untested crewed vehicle around the moon. And I'm very curious, given last week's ignition event and how that really laid out an audacious and ambitious plan to really explore the moon in a stepping stone approach way, where you see Artemis 2 in that plan, and basically the importance of riding on this mission before you can make that next step for next year.
So, I mean, no matter, I guess, how you slice it, it's the opening act for sure. I think there are areas where we're clearly combining, Apollo 7, Apollo 8 into a single mission. Which we should be able to do. There has been, to your question earlier, there's been substantial progress, over the last half century. We have tools. We've certainly been there before, so I would expect us to be able to get some, mission efficiencies through. But I would say that what we learn from this, for sure, will inform how we think about Artemis 3. Now, there's certainly big picture objectives in that. We'd like to get the lander together. We'd like to test that out in Earth orbit before we go to the moon with it. But if there are things that we don't see, maybe it is comm-related issues, then we're going to try and fix those, and then we're going to want to validate that on the next mission as well. So, and that should be the idea, right, as we progress forward. I suspect when Artemis 3 comes around, we're going to learn a lot about the integrated operations that we'll want to validate and ensure is rolled into the subsequent missions. But yes, this should be a philosophy that we take across all of the grand efforts that we are pursuing right now, to not necessarily jump to the ultimate desired state, but to build up to it.
I'm going to jump right up here.
Hi, Richard Hollingham, BBC Future. Related to Apollo 8 in a way, really. I just wondered what plans had gone into a new Earthrise image. A lot has gone into the aspirational nature of this mission. Have you a plan? I assume you have a plan. What is the plan?
Oh, go ahead.
I do know that the teams have been looking at what the opportunities might look like. They've looked at the different launch dates, and so I know that they're really going to try to make that happen. I can't give you a confirmation on that yet, but stay tuned.
My understanding is they have been equipped with additional camera imagery capturing, equipment. So
we're going to do everything we can to try and make that happen. It'd be awesome.
I'm going to go right back here.
Thank you. I'm from a Japanese news agency, Kyodo News. My question is to the administrator. The United States and China are competing over moon development. What significance does today's launch have for the U.S. and NASA? Thank you.
Well, it's certainly an incredibly important step. I mean, this is the first crewed mission into this environment in more than a half century on a rocket that has never flown human beings before, along with a spacecraft. So it's incredibly important because we're going to learn an awful lot from this to inform subsequent missions. So yes, this is the beginning. I can tell you, having had an opportunity to speak with the Artemis II crew after the State of the Union address, we talked a lot about what we wound up sharing with the world at the Ignition event about adding additional missions, accelerating production, building out a moon base. I think it was very energizing for the crew because they knew that they were, this is a risky mission for sure. Any type of new test flight mission going in this environment is going to be challenging, and they knew it was building up to something bigger. And I think that it was very helpful for them in that regard. So, and certainly it was very helpful for me to hear their feedback as well. I would suspect a point or two wound up in the Ignition event from them. So,
we're going to go back here to the white shirt.
Thanks, Denise Chow with NBC News. I think for Lori or Norm, I'm curious what you anticipate could be some of the biggest challenges over the next few days, whether that's from a spacecraft or system standpoint or crew workload.
I'll jump in. Flight day 1 from a crew workload is pretty tough. Between now and TLI, we're working the crew really hard. In fact, when they go to sleep tonight, they're woken up in the middle of their sleep to do the perigee raise burn, and so their sleep's disrupted. They're hitting on all cylinders. They may not be feeling well. On top of that, so we know that flight day 1 and flight day 2 up to TLI is really good. We know it drops off then, and so going into this, we trained for that. We did simulations for this. We put the crew in exactly that state. Now, they weren't on orbit. They probably were feeling great. But we got a good gauge, hey, are we working them too hard? And the mission control team is great because they're watching the crew constantly. They're watching their performance. And we also have a crew that's very good at saying, hey, enough's enough. And so together, we will make certain that we're doing everything in the best interest of meeting the mission objectives, making sure that we're not working the crew so hard that, they make mistakes or something of that nature. And again, we work as a collective team going forward. So this is our best opportunity, and they may add more stuff to the timeline before it's all done, and they may take some stuff out if we need to, but we adjust all the time on those things. So that's leading up to TLI. That's probably one of the bigger challenges, making sure we get those done.
I'm going to go right up here.
Hi, Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com. For the administrator, you mentioned the 53-year hiatus, and in that time, now most of the world's population wasn't alive for Apollo, like I think you and me. And I wonder if you have a sense of, if even this early in the mission, that this has captured the imagination of those people that have never seen anyone go to the moon before on a world level, on a national level, and how important is it to NASA to capture that support from the public?
Yeah, I've said it many times. I absolutely, I think it's foundational for what we do here at NASA to inspire. It should be a component of every one of our missions. I've talked about, I think after Artemis II, you're going to have more kids that are going to dress up as astronauts for Halloween. We want to inspire and create interest in the next generation to grow up and contribute to this endeavor. Now, how have we done so far in captivating the world's interest in America's return to the moon? I don't know. You have to tell me. We've been rather busy the last couple hours. I would say, and I felt this way going into it, that when we got down to T0, a lot of people would be paying attention. I suspect when some of the imagery starts to maybe come back from the moon, that's gonna further bring people into this story. Right, and then we bring them home safely, and we start preparing for, again, the next chapter in the story. So, I think inspiration is extremely important. I think people, despite some of the commentary up to now, how many people really know we're going around the moon? I'm willing to bet right now a lot of people do, and I think we'll only draw in their interest further as the mission proceeds.
I'm gonna go right here.
Robert Coppinger, British Interplanetary Society Spaceflight Magazine. Commander Wiseman said during the crew news conference in September last year that when they get off the planet, they may only spend 3 or 4 days going around the Earth. What sequence of events would need to happen for that to occur? I was quite surprised to hear him be so specific about such a scenario. I know you all talk about it being a test flight. So what would need to happen for the mission to be curtailed in such a fashion?
I didn't cover the question.
So I think the question had, just confirm, it's kind of hard to hear, but the question is that the commander talked about one of the alternate missions where they maybe would stay in Earth orbit for 3 or 4 or 5 days,
yes,
that sort of thing.
What would need to happen
so
for
one
that
of the one of the scenarios that would have led to that is if for some reason during the launch that the SLS did not quite deliver us to where we needed to be, or the upper stage didn't deliver us to the orbit that we needed to be in. That would have been one of the scenarios. I think that's probably the main scenario that would have ended up in that one of those kind of alternate missions. Yeah, but I don't think we're going to need to worry about that, hopefully. But the other thing is if for some reason we're able to stay, but we're not able to do the TLI burn, we would stay in Earth orbit. So there's a couple of scenarios where that could happen.
We're right back here.
Hi there, Joey Vars with the Gabber for anybody. In the weeks leading up to the launch, we were talking about some of the distance records and altitude records and speed records that would be achieved that were contingent on the specific day and time of launch. I was wondering if we had a better concept of what those might be now that we are successfully off the ground. Thank you.
Norm has that data for you.
Well, based on the predicts right now, assuming all the burns go as planned and the timeline is executed as we think it's going to be, it'll be on flight day 6. At an MET of about, 18 hours, 18 and a half hours. And again, check that as we get closer because burn durations and things like that matter. But that's where we will exceed or beat the Apollo distance record, or at least that's where we believe that's going to happen. So that'll be an exciting day, and we'll stand by to see what transpires.
You're right here.
Hi, I'm Hanju Yang from Kumin Daily in South Korea. And first of all, congratulations on today's successful launch. And my question is for administrator layer. And this mission also carried a Korean satellite on board. From your perspective, why does a crewed lunar mission like Artemis 2 matter not just for United States, but for the global community?
I think we say often that when we undertake these type of endeavors, we never go alone. We go with our international partners. We have a Canadian Space Agency astronaut that's on board this mission. We are carrying a lot of CubeSats from our Artemis Accords partners, and we are going to continue to do this going forward. JAXA is contributing a pressurized rover, a major contribution to our efforts of having an enduring presence on the lunar surface itself. The Italian Space Agency, just a few days ago, we signed a memorandum of understanding for a habitation module on the surface of the moon, a component of the moon base. And to be honest, it was also a key component to the ignition event from last week. Half of the Artemis Accord partners were present. We spent a good portion of the second day talking together, recognizing that some of our partners can make contributions like a pressurized rover or a habitation module, and many others are going to work with their academic institutions and universities for science instruments that could wind up on the phase 1 component to the moon base itself. So, or interesting tech demonstrations. This is something that NASA is extremely proud of, and will continue to do so as we continue to press forward under this program. So.
We're going to do last question here. I'm going to go over to you in the back.
It's Paul Brinkman, Aerospace America. Can you just talk a little bit about the propellant loading this morning? Was it flawless? Were there any leaks detected? Was it a repeat of the wet dress rehearsal? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it went extremely well. What I heard this morning, and Amit may have an update from later, but some of the leaks that we'd seen of the hydrogen during the tanking for For the hydrogen, we saw leaks below 1%, which was significantly lower. Again, the seals that we replaced seemed to perform extremely well. We did a pressure test kind of partway through, and the leak went up to about 1.4%. Still, well within the constraints, which 16% is the bound that we have. So I think it performed extremely well. We actually, I think, finished the tanking early. From what I understood, so I think it went extremely well. So again, the seals that we had replaced out at the pad after wet dress number 1, I think that was proved to be very successful.
And with that, thank you all for coming out and covering humanity's return to the moon. Stay tuned for updates on NASA's social channels, including our continuous coverage on YouTube and NASA Plus. Go Artemis.
Thank you.
How kind of them to wrap that up before Trump's speech.
The moon. For those coming that were joining on the press conference, we'll do a quick recap of some of the activities that happened over the course of the hour.
All right, enough of that.
Extensively. One of the big challenges of the nuclear
So I'm seeing
agreement
conflicting
during President
information
Obama-
on what Trump's going to say. Some outlets are reporting that he's going to announce wind down and into the war. Others are saying he's going to say we've got to send in boots on the ground.
And if they continue to push this, successive presidents will use the opportunity before they are such a threat that it can cause real harm to the United States.
All right, my last question before I let you go, before we get into it, because we're about 90 or so seconds away from this unfolding. Ambassador, would anything surprise you about what Trump says tonight? Would anything be out of sorts?
Well, I think President Trump is also the showman in chief. He does a great job of building up suspense. So I think I wouldn't be the first person to say that he's been surprised by something that President Trump says. But I think that the war planning and the intelligence planning to this conflict have really been in the books for a while. And I don't think it's been surprising. Certainly President Trump can bring a surprising narrative case and commentary. Always he keeps us all guessing, and that makes him the showman in chief as well as the commander in chief.
All right, we soon to see what happens tonight. Thank you so much, Mark Wallace. I appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox, CEO of UANI. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation there as we anticipate this. The White House saying, don't miss it. Coming up here in just mere moments, President Donald Trump will address the nation on this Operation Epic Fury, as they will likely lay out some of these objectives once more. He has telegraphed the message in interviews, in social media posts, and also public comments over the last 24 hours, laying the groundwork as he potentially could also harshly criticize NATO allies for the biggest unresolved matter of the ongoing conflict, restrictions about shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. They've talked about this here on Live Now from Fox about what's going on there. And obviously, my colleague Austin Westfall will also be in the chair in the immediate aftermath of what we're expecting tonight. Austin, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, maybe some surprises. We'll see what happens tonight. What are you anticipating we're going to be speaking to?
A lot of conversation, Andy, about where exactly this speech is going to go. And I think we had some audio trouble there, so I'll reiterate. It appears that there's been lots and lots of signals about where this speech might go. And by the way, we expect that this speech will start in seconds. We'll break out of our conversation. We'll go to that immediately as soon as we see it pop up. We haven't seen it pop up yet. The president obviously has faced some pushback at home relating to some of the economic pressures that this fight has caused. Gas prices, economic pressures, the Strait of Hormuz has become a household topic amid this fight. And the Iranian regime has signaled that they are not open to a ceasefire, and they do not want to work with President Trump on a path toward ending this fight. So we're getting mixed signals. President Trump has said in recent weeks that, this could wind down soon. He's also said that, there's a possibility that we might see a little bit more of this. It does look like we just got the feed from inside the White House. It appears that The president will walk out any moment now, and one thing that I'm going to be listening for, Andy, and something that we're going to be speaking about with Hal Kempfer and Benham Tailblue, it does look like we have Trump step.
All right, thank you so much. And let's take us out to this live here on Live Now from Fox.
Should I grow a ZZ
President
Top
Trump
beard?
there addressing the nation
I did that
on
a
this
few years
conflict.
ago.
My fellow Americans, good evening. Let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis 2. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing. They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people. We want to God bless those 4 unbelievable astronauts. As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing in America, as it has been for 5 years under my presidency, is winning, and now winning bigger than ever before. Before discussing this current situation, I also want to thank our troops for the masterful job they did in taking the country of Venezuela in a matter of minutes. That hit was quick, lethal, violent, and respected by everyone all over the world. After rebuilding our military during my first term, we have by far the strongest military anywhere in the world. And now we're working along with Venezuela and are, in a true sense, joint venture partners. We're getting along incredibly well in the production and sale of massive amounts of oil and gas, the second largest reserves on Earth after the United States of America. We're now totally independent of the Middle East, and yet we are there to help. We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have, but we're there to help our allies. Tonight, I want to provide an update on the tremendous progress our warriors have made in Iran and discuss why Operation Epic Fury is necessary for the safety of America and the security of the free world. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This fanatical regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel for 47 years. Their proxies were behind the murder of 241 Americans in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, the slaughter of hundreds of our service members with roadside bombs. They were involved in the attack on the USS Cole, and they carried out the countless other heinous acts, including the just horrible, bloody atrocities of October 7th in Israel, something that most people have never seen anything like it. This murderous regime also recently killed 45,000 of their own people who were protesting in Iran. 45,000 dead. For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield. I will never let that happen, and neither should any of our past presidents. This situation has been going on for 47 years and should have been handled long before I arrived in office. I did many things during my 2 terms in office to stop the quest for nuclear weapons by Iran first, and perhaps most importantly, I killed General Qasem Soleimani in my first term. He was an evil genius, brilliant person, a horrible human being, however, the father of the roadside bomb, and he lived just horrible what he did. Iran would have been perhaps in far better, stronger position. Had he lived, we would have had probably a different conversation tonight. But you know what? We'd still be winning and winning big. And then very importantly, I terminated Barack Hussein Obama's Iran nuclear deal, a disaster. Obama gave them $1.7 billion in cash, green cash. Took it out of banks from Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, all the cash they had. He flew it by airplanes in an attempt to buy their respect and loyalty, but it didn't work. They laughed at our president and went on with their mission to have a nuclear bomb. His Iran deal would have led to a colossal arsenal of massive nuclear weapons for Iran, and they would have had them years ago, and they would have used them. It would have been a different world. There would have been no Middle East and no Israel right now, in my opinion, the opinion of a lot of great experts. Had I not terminated that terrible deal, and I was so honored to do it. I was so proud to do it. It was so bad right from the beginning. Essentially, I did what no other president was willing to do. They made mistakes, and I am correcting them. My first preference was always the path of diplomacy, yet the regime continued their relentless quest for nuclear weapons and rejected every attempt at an agreement. For this reason, in June, I ordered a strike on Iran's key nuclear facilities, an Operation Midnight Hammer. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Those beautiful B-2 bombers performed magnificently. We totally obliterated those nuclear sites. The regime then sought to rebuild their nuclear program at a totally different location, making clear they had no intention of abandoning their pursuit of nuclear weapons. They were also rapidly building a vast stockpile of conventional ballistic missiles and would soon have had missiles that could reach the American homeland, Europe, and virtually any other place on Earth. Iran's strategy was so obvious. They wanted to produce as many missiles as possible, and they did, with the longest range possible, and they had some weapons that nobody believed they had. We just learned that out. We took them out. We took them all out so that no one would really dare stop them. And their race for a nuclear bomb, a nuclear weapon like nobody's ever seen before. They were right at the doorstep. For years, everyone has said that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, but in the end, those are just words if you're not willing to take action when the time comes. As I stated in my announcement of Operation Epic Fury, our objectives are very simple and clear. We are systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America or project power outside of their borders. That means eliminating Iran's Navy, which is now absolutely destroyed, hurting their Air Force and their missile program at levels never seen before, and annihilating their defense industrial base. We've done all of it. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their missiles are just about used up or beaten. Taken together, these actions will cripple Iran military, crush their ability to support terrorist proxies, and deny them the ability to build a nuclear bomb. Our armed forces have been extraordinary. There's never been anything like it militarily. Everyone is talking about it, and tonight I'm pleased to say that these core strategic objectives are nearing completion. As we celebrate this progress, we think especially of the 13 American warriors who have laid down their lives in this fight to prevent our children from ever having to face a nuclear Iran. Twice this past month, I have traveled to Dover Air Force Base And it's been something. I wanted to be with those heroes as they return to American soil, and I was with them and their families, their parents, their wives, their husbands. We salute them, and now we must honor them by completing the mission for which they gave their lives. And every single one of the people, their loved ones said, "Please, sir, please finish the job." Every one of them. And we are going to finish the job, and we're going to finish it very fast. We're getting very close. I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. They've been great, and we will not let them get hurt or fail in any way, shape, or form. Many Americans have been concerned to see the recent rise in gasoline prices here at home. This short-term increase has been entirely the result of the Iranian regime launching deranged terror attacks against commercial oil tankers in neighboring countries that have nothing to do with the conflict. This is yet more proof that Iran can never be trusted with nuclear weapons. They will use them, and they will use them quickly. It would lead to decades of extortion, economic pain, and instability worse than we can ever imagine. The United States has never been better prepared economically to confront this threat. You all know that. We built the strongest economy in history. We're going through it right now, the strongest in history. In 1 year, we've taken a dead and crippled country. I hate to say that, but we were a dead and crippled country after the last administration and made it the hottest country anywhere in the world by far, with no inflation, record-setting investments coming into the United States, over $18 trillion, and the highest stock market ever, with 53 all-time record highs in just 1 year. It all positioned us to get rid of a cancer that has long simmered. It's known as the nuclear Iran, and they didn't know what was coming. They've never imagined it. Remember, because of our drill baby drill program, America has plenty of gas. We have so much gas. Under my leadership, we are #1 producer of oil and gas on the planet, without even discussing the millions of barrels that we're getting from Venezuela. Because of the Trump administration's policies, we produce more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Think of that, Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And that number will soon be substantially higher than that. There's no country like us anywhere in the world, and we're in great shape for the future. The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. We've beaten and completely decimated Iran. They are decimated, both militarily and economically and in every other way. And the countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. #1, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And #2, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing, and the gas prices will rapidly come back down. Stock prices will rapidly go back up. They haven't come down very much, frankly. They came down a little bit, but they've had some very good days over the last couple of days. We've done actually much better than I thought, but we had to take that little journey to Iran to get rid of this horrible threat. With our historic tax cuts, where people are just now talking about receiving larger refunds than they ever thought possible, They are getting so much more money than they thought. That's from the great big beautiful bill. Our economy is strong and improving by the day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead. The new group is less radical and much more reasonable. Yet if during this period of time no deal is made, we have our eyes on key targets. If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. The nuclear sites that we obliterated with the B-2 bombers have been hit so hard that it would take months to get near the nuclear dust, and we have it under intense satellite surveillance and control. If we see them make a move, even a move for it, we'll hit them with missiles very hard again. We have all the cards, they have none. It's very important that we keep this conflict in perspective. American involvement in World War I lasted 1 year, 7 months, and 5 days. World War II lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 25 days. The Korean War lasted for 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days. The Vietnam War lasted for 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Iraq went on for 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. We are in this military operation so powerful, so brilliant against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. And the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat. They were the bully of the Middle East, but they're the bully no longer. This is a true investment in your children and your grandchildren's future. The whole world is watching, and they can't leave the power, strength, and brilliance. They just can't believe what they're seeing. They leave it to your imagination, but they can't believe what they're seeing, the brilliance of the United States military. Tonight, every American can look forward to a day when we are finally free from the wickedness of Iranian aggression and the specter of nuclear blackmail. Because of the actions we have taken, we are on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister threat to America and the world. And I'll tell you, the world is watching. And when we do, when it's all over, the United States will be safer, stronger, more prosperous, and greater than it has ever been before. May God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good night.
Well,
President Trump with that live address as it goes to a slate. We here at Live Now are going to take a live look at the White House, where the president just gave that speech. The president using tonight's address to argue that the U.S. is close to ending its conflict with Iran, framing it as a culmination of a 47-year struggle dating back to the Iranian Revolution. He said U.S. strikes have severely weakened Iran, claiming that its navy has been destroyed, its missile and drone capabilities curtailed, and key nuclear sites hit by B-2 bombers are now dust, with satellites monitoring for any rebuilding in the areas. Trump justifying the conflict by saying he initially pursued diplomacy, But Iran refused to abandon its nuclear ambitions.
No boots on the ground.
He also warned that Iran had been building a vast missile stockpile that could soon threaten the U.S. mainland. The president pointed to Operation Midnight Hammer in 2025 as a turning point and argued that the war has been swift, just over a month so far, compared to years-long conflicts like Iraq and Korea. He did say that the U.S. is on track to complete its objectives within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3
while
weeks,
also
guys.
issuing a warning. If Iran does not comply, he says the U.S. could expand strikes to include critical infrastructure like electrical systems, though he is noting that oil facilities have not been targeted yet. He still says that the military campaign can continue and could intensify.
You'll probably just have to go to the beginning of the stream to rewatch
demands
the launch.
And objectives are not met. The president also thanking Gulf allies and honoring
I'll be getting
the
off
service
here
members
shortly.
who have been killed in the conflict. The president saying the U.S. will finish the job and finish it fast, and that the world is on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister hold on the war. We do have standing by here a panel to discuss the president's remarks. Retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kempfer is here with me, and so is Behnam Tailblue. He's studying Iran and has studied Iran, and he's with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Let's start with you, Behnam. Let's just talk about everything that Trump laid out. That speech was about 20 minutes long. Did he say anything in this speech that gives us any further indication as to where this war is headed that wasn't already reported before tonight's address? And yeah, Behnam, it seems you might be on mute there.
Boomer.
Great to be with you, gentlemen. Listen, I think that speech was wisely used by the... Apologies. I believe that speech was wisely used by the president to be able to connect the dots for Americans as to why this has been such a persistent threat and why America made the investment in terms of blood, treasure, national reputation, and time even right now to focus on the Middle East, to focus on the Strait of Hormuz, to focus on taking on the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism with the largest missile arsenal in the Middle East and with nuclear ambitions. Ultimately, I think time will tell as to will America take the military wins it has accumulated, and those military wins, particularly against the defense industrial base and the ability of this regime to project power abroad. Those military wins have been impressive. But how we choose to nest that into a post-war strategy against the Islamic Republic remains to be seen. To be brutally honest with you, I think there were no surprises, no curveballs here. The president had talked about a timeline about a couple more weeks prior to this speech. Seems like that timeline still very much is on track. If I had to put a nice bow on it, this was an attempt to handhold both markets as well as the American public and bring them along and make sure that they understood both the states as well as the interests.
Tailblue is his
president
name.
Facing intense scrutiny about gas prices and other economic pressures that his administration is facing in light of this conflict. Trump says U.S. forces will finish the job in Iran soon as the core strategic objectives are nearing completion. Al, what does it mean to say Iran's missile and drone capabilities are curtailed? You've been tracking this just as close as anybody. What exactly has the U.S. done, and how much have they eroded Iran's capabilities in a month's time?
Well, Austin, significantly they have, and I agree with what Behnam said. I heard the speech. There wasn't anything surprising that really jumped out at me. It was kind of a recounting of things I've heard him say before, but he did want to make it very clear, and I think it was trying to cut through some of the discourse that's been going around to just basically say, hey, look, this is what we accomplished. And part of that is going after the drones and going after the ballistic missiles. The ballistic missile strikes on a daily basis are way down. They're less than 10% of what they were at their peak. I think they're around 5% or less right now. Same thing, the drone strike capability has dramatically diminished. And it is less than 10%, and it might be closer to 5% right now. The other thing that I thought he brought up, he mentioned bombers, but one of the big things that's changed what's happened over there is B-1 bombers and B-52 bombers. I should mention B-52 bombers, you may have seen in recent days, have been dropping these bombs, 2,000-pound bombs. I happen to have a little first-hand knowledge of what a 2,000-pound bomb can do. And it's a very impressive capability, particularly if you're going after underground facilities, those deeply entrenched facilities with a lot of overhead cover. We can now fly B-52 bombers well into Iran to hit some of these hardened targets. That's a capability we didn't have at the beginning of the war. Now we can do that. What he was talking, short recounting of what's been going on, but when you talk about taking out drones and ballistic missiles, we have a capability to do things against that particular threat that we didn't have at the beginning of the war. And I think he just wanted to make that, make that, stated, make it very clear. I think he could have gone further. I think he could have been a little bit more detailed than that, but they kept the speech on a certain level, and I don't think he wanted to get bogged down in the details.
Benham, there has been a question about the strikes last year on Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz. This was the B-2 strikes that hit a number of nuclear targets within Iran last June. President Trump said that they're monitoring these areas with satellites. I've had a question for a long time, and a lot of people have been wondering if this would be a reason to go boots on the ground to make sure that any nuclear residue, if you will, that might be left over from those strikes could still be used for something nefarious. President Trump saying that they're using satellites in order to watch what they're doing at those areas. Was that new information?
Not necessarily new information, because that was basically the posture of the U.S. military post-12-day war and post-Operation Midnight Hammer. But it is new in terms of the politics of the war, meaning I have long believed, that I'm trying to put pen to paper to this effect now, that militarily there's three pathways to victory. There's number one, which is exactly what Hal footstomped, which is what the president footstomped, which is the defanging mission against the long-range strike capabilities. That is well underway, and that is probably where the president will claim victory, quote unquote, on points. Number two is to really foot stomp the military win for Midnight Hammer, which is to either re-bomb some of those nuclear facilities that were bombed last time to further entrench and entomb the fissile material and other materials that were there, or to send in a team of special operations and ferry them out. This now, based on the options the president has been given, and just a few hours ago.
Okay, guys. Well, another night of nothing ever happens. We sent a rocket into space. They'll be flying around the moon in a few days. I think 4 days. Day 4, I think they go around the moon. They'll be coming back here on April 10th, landing in the ocean, Pacific Ocean over near San Diego. Trump says 2 more weeks for the war in Iran. If you believe him. I got bingo. Looks like a lot of other people got bingo as well. Wait, unless... Did he not say drones? Where's drones on my list? Oh, it wouldn't matter if he said drones or not. That's not in my bingo. I got bingo! A lot of you others got bingo. I'll trade a rocket launch for a car chase. Jay, you assume they're coming back? Okay, I did skip Contexto last night. We'll do a Contexto tonight. We'll make up for it. Alright, Contexto time. Let me get this bingo off the board. Contexto. Oh. Huh? They changed the site. Okay, interesting. What? Alright, hang on. Oh, well, I'm gonna have to pick another one. All right, we're up and loaded. Contexto is an Iranian company. Bomb it! All right, what are we starting with? Bagel? All right, bagel it is. No good. Bagel is no good. Rocket? Moon. Getting closer. Still very far. Straight? Worst one yet. Car? Tree? Hey, tree's the best. Inertia. If it's ever inertia. Anti-Semitism. See if it even takes that. Oh, wow. Very far from it, but it accepts it. Forest. Power. Ooh. Lunchbox. Just for the fuck of it. Of course. Of course. Of course, we don't start with lunchbox, and it was a very good starting word. What up, Brock? You're so late. Food? Yeah, I mean just food. Okay. Okay, we're a food apparently. How about like so let's narrow it down. Are we a meat? No. Are we a fruit? No. Are we a type of... You don't know sandwich? Is it spelled? Okay. Yeah, there's no H in sandwich. Was working on a gun. Oh. Brock, you have guns? Locust. Vegetable dinner. Drink. Fish. Ooh! Sushi? I feel like it's been sushi before. But, okay, fish is 4 away. Hang on. What? I mean, what else? Fish? Shark? Salmon. Yeah, is it like a type of fish? No. Tuna? No. No. So I don't think it's a type of fish. I think it's something else. What up, Hung and Blues guy? Shrimp? Fish sticks? Soylent Green? Seaweed? Rice? Caviar? Oh, no. Interesting. Why is it? Fish. Whale? Krill. Is it just straight up seafood? No. Ship. Fries? Yeah, like fish and chips. Salt. Taco? What a shellfish? I mean, yeah, I don't think that... Well... Huh. I mean, fried anchovies? No. I already did tuna. I mean, is it just straight up ocean? No. Cod. Did I do fried? Yeah, I did fried. Orca. Is it dolphin? Reef. What are we missing? Okay. It's something in the ocean. Yeah, fish is the closest, and then reef. So, coral? No. Oyster. How is oyster so far away? Bass. Clam. Vagina. I mean, is it just straight up goldfish? Okay. What the hell? Fishnet. Titanic. I said it's something in the ocean. Jellyfish? Could be. Could be. No. No. Clownfish? You don't know the word clownfish? shell. Flounder. Fish tank. Whoa! Good job, Stroman. What else could this be? Fish bowl? Fish bowl! Alright, so it was not something in the ocean. Alright, fish bowl, fish tank, aquarium, fish, saltwater, goldfish, pond, freshwater, reef, jellyfish, terrarium, koi, reptile, aquatic. These would have been the top. Horrible game, yeah. I mean, we still got it in 57. It's not that bad. I always say under 50 is good. You know, under 20 is amazing. We've definitely done a lot worse than 57. Yes, right? True Blue Tails, so easy yet so hard. How is plankton a thing for fish tank? I don't know. This game is dumb sometimes. Real G1 Media, this is Contexto. Have you never seen us play this? I pretty much end every stream with at least one Contexto game. Lunchbox, yeah. Well, Lunchbox was where? 485. I don't know. I mean, Lunchbox. You can kind of see it. I don't know. You store things in it. Put things in a fishbowl. I don't know. You put food in it. You can eat food. You can eat fish in food. All right. Well, that's it, guys. We'll see you next time. Happy April Fool's Day. Goodbye. Thanks for hanging with me. Love you all.